Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Game Junction Podcast. What is this, episode 122?
122.
Hopefully everybody's having a really good Friday night. I don't know about you, it's been a pretty warm Friday night for February.
Yeah, I mean, definitely was a warm day. It's felt pretty good most of the week, man. I was out in shorts and stuff, taking a walk, and yeah, it's felt nice. So
Pretty much like spring up into it's supposed to get into the 50s for us this weekend.
yeah,
And then down the road it's gonna get cold again and winter's gonna come back next week. But enjoy the weekend.
yeah, for sure. Shout out to Gamer Freak that we had in here, Retro Star Alliance, getting the tank now. Josh McCarthy and Less That Knows says, "What's up, D-bags?"
D-bags. That's pretty creative.
That's creative. Hey, I'll take it.
Ooh, sorry about that. Messing around with some stuff in the background.
I see that. Now we're black.
No, we're not. There you go.
Oh, okay.
That's like, you can go back to what you were doing. Sorry, I was clicking something and it didn't go with that. It was gonna go.
Oh, you're good, man. All good. All good in the hood.
Good times, but yeah, a lot of good stuff. Obviously, we had the Pokemon news drop this week with the Direct, which to me was lackluster outside of ZA. Obviously, some Warner Brothers stuff. Monster Hunter dropped this week, and then we got a whole bunch of other stuff that dropped, and we're obviously going to talk about. And so let's just get right into it.
Yeah, let's go.
So as I obviously need to pull it up. So we kind of felt like we talked about this before, but they say the Forza Horizon 5 is supposed to release on the PS5 in April. I don't know if they actually got us a date or they're just saying, hey, it's coming this date. No, it's April 29th was the actual date.
Yeah,
so what, about 2 months away?
Yeah, seeing a Microsoft mainline property on the PlayStation, kind of wild. This is the next step to Halo coming, so.
Which, I don't know, to me it just feels like the death nail of Xbox as a console. If they're just not going to have exclusivity, what's the point in even getting an Xbox at that point? If all their games are going to be on PC and on Sony, I might as well just get one of those consoles or computers or something like that.
Yeah, I guess it's just a preference thing. I mean, like if you were to get a Series S or something where it's much cheaper at $300, I could understand that. You know what I mean? $300 versus a $1,500 PC or a $500 PS5. Like I could still understand somebody getting a Series S, especially in this economy and stuff. So I mean, yeah, I guess it just wherever you prefer to play. But I want to check it out because of the novelty of playing what is one of two biggest franchises for Xbox on PlayStation. So I think it's kind of cool, and I do love Forza. So it's definitely interesting. I mean, this really is I'm not joking. Like this is the next step to Halo coming cross-platform because I mean,
we already know that's coming.
Yeah,
it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, Forza's coming. Halo is. I mean, Forza outsells Halo at this point. So like this is one of their big properties. So definitely
again, how relevant is Halo at this point? Like there's not the Halo 1, 2, and 3 era on the Xbox and Xbox 360.
It would be relevant if they didn't ruin the property. I mean, Halo Infinite was like one of the major letdowns. Sure, the multiplayer's fine, but like the game overall, like to me, was just like a gigantic letdown.
It wasn't Halo 4. It was the one before that.
Halo 4 and 5 weren't great either.
No, what was the one between Halo 3 and Halo 4?
ODST?
Yeah, I think that was like the really last good game they made for Halo, and it was just like at least to me, it was like a steady downgrade of games and qualities. And then other games became more prevalent. Obviously, Call of Duty really came into its own and stuff like that, and just kind of that and Battlefield just kind of overtook what Halo was, and Halo just kind of drifted off into memories essentially.
It's unfortunate, man, because what a series that was. I posted an Xbox thing the other day and was asking people's Xbox memories, and was just flooded with got an Xbox, played Halo, and like for me, I didn't get an Xbox at the time, but my first experience with an Xbox was Halo, and there was nothing else like it at the time. It was, as far as games of that caliber, it was like Halo and Metroid Prime. You know what I mean? Like those were the two that really got me into first person shooters like that, and just I sometimes wish I could recapture that moment first time playing Halo, because it was just like it was a mind bender at the time. So
so it was like Halo Reach and Halo the ODS.
Yeah, Halo Reach was good too.
the last real big ones, at least for me. Because I mean, how long is it going to be before you start getting all the Fable games on a PlayStation?
True. I mean, we're going to be talking about the new Fable and some news with that here in a bit. So,
Because I think that one got delayed as well. Not shockingly.
Yeah, not shockingly. So,
yeah, they have to fix character designs because, well, these Chinese and Korean developers are just beating them up on character design.
Not to get into it too early because we are going to be talking about it, but they're the first company that I've seen make the right move in character design. Because I'll just say it blankly, they went from really ugly chick to like good looking chick in the new trailer. So like,
because it's this old androgynous weirdo self insert. I'm ugly, so the character's got to look ugly compared to just making
But now she looks good.
Character in a fantasy game.
And the latest thing that we just saw, she looks good.
We're getting there. She's getting there.
She's getting better. Got a little work. Got a little work to do. Got to add a little,
I'm just saying, if you've seen any trailer, any gameplay, and we're going to talk about it more about Monster Hunter Wilds, that's proper character design.
Yeah, for sure.
Without going like overboard, either which way. It's just all around. I mean, it's a.
I'm already seeing people cosplay the chick. God, what's her name? That signs the quests with the glasses.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I can't
I've already seen people.
I played the introduction last night to get to where the multiplayer unlocks, but
yeah,
I don't remember anybody's name.
I'm really excited. Just to shout out on the podcast. If you guys didn't know, we stream every single Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I don't know how long, but I assume for probably the next several weeks we'll be streaming Monster Hunter because it's like such a big game. And it's like one of those multiplayer games where you just get into it. It's hot, it's new, it's fresh. It's something we've been looking forward to a lot. So I assume we'll probably be streaming it for a while. And it's a relatively big game, but super excited to jump into that, man.
Yeah. We did get some new news though. The studio that made Metroid Dread said they're coming out with a new action adventure game, Blades of Fire. I don't know how much you know about this one, Brandon.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it other than what I saw in the headline earlier. I mean, they caught me at saying Metroid Dread, which I think is a 10 out of 10 game, peak 2D Metroid, if you ask me. But basically, this says that the action adventure game is fully 3D and seems more akin to the studio's work on Castlevania Lords of Shadow than the Nintendo Metroidvania. The key mechanic in Blades of Fire appears to be the forge. As players find scrolls, they can create new weapons to suit their playstyle based on weight, length, durability, penetration, and edge quality. There are several weapon families and 30 unique forge scrolls, so plenty of possible combinations. There is a video of it. I'm not sure if we. Oh, yeah, playing.
Yeah, I got it. For surprisingly, it's got a pretty decent dislike ratio for whatever reason.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't bother going down to the comments why, but I was like, oh, why is it a 146 to 96 right there?
Huh. I wonder if we'll see why in the trailer. I don't know. It looks pretty cool to me. It looks brutal.
Yeah, it looks like an interesting game.
Yeah. It is interesting to say from some of the developers of Metroid Dread, because this is nothing like Metroid Dread.
Yeah, right.
Completely different game, but it does say that it's more akin to the Lords of Shadows Castlevania games, which are 3D Castlevania games.
Yeah, I can see. Like this is obviously like a 3D game. It's not more of it's not like a side scroller, obviously.
My only guess with the downvotes is that most people didn't care for the Lords of Shadow games. The Castlevania games, most people don't care for any of the 3D Castlevania games, to be fair. But I don't know. I mean, it looks
new IP, so
it looks kind of cool to me. Like,
yeah, I mean, most of the half the trailer is more like cinematic,
yeah.
Gameplay, so want to get closer to when the game's actually going to come out and they're actually going to give us something good.
I'd be curious. Well, it's only got 96 downvotes. That's not that bad
compared to 146 upvotes.
It's not that bad. That didn't even
pretty bad ratio, to be fair. That's like a 60 to 65% upvote probability or ratio, what do you want to call it?
Yeah,
it's not the worst. It's not in the negatives, but
Mercury System 505 games. Yeah, so I mean, it's got some pretty large names attached to it. So
yeah, because it comes out May 22nd, so it's only a few months away.
So it looks like PC, PS5, and Series X. No Switch 2 mention or anything. I'd be curious if it does come to that. May 22nd, very well. It
does say the Epic Game Store and not just PC. So this isn't a Epic Game Store exclusive. I won't be picking it up.
You could always pick it up on console.
It'd have to be because I don't use Epic Game Store. It's Steam or nothing for me.
Yeah, I don't really use Epic that much either. So yeah, it looks interesting. So I guess we'll see more development on that in the coming months.
Yeah, because I mean it's about 3 months away from releasing, so
yeah, we're pretty close.
It'll be here sooner than you think. That's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you grabbed this or not. Mr. Kyle said Kojima had helped with the Castlevania Lord of the Shadow game.
Did he? Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, those games are very hit or miss for people. I really, really like the second one, but they're very mixed. Like there were 3D Castlevania games on the Nintendo 64. I loved them back in the day. Replaying them, they are a janky mess. They are an absolute mess. Both of the games on there, but I loved them as a kid, and I was terrified of them as well. I was scared to death playing them.
Oh, this guy's scared.
Hey, I was a kid, man.
Yeah, and Lusted knows I am a huge fan of Metroid, though I prefer the Prime games over the 2D games personally.
Hunters, though, of course.
It's just a weird game.
You want to know something funny? Hold on. So I shared.
What's that?
Yesterday was the 17th anniversary of the 3DS, and so I took a picture, and guess what's in my 3DS?
What?
Hold on. It's going to show. Metroid Prime Hunters. Last game I played on there. Oh, man. I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, just a little bit.
But hey, people did comment about it, saying how it was a good game. I think it is a good game. It's like it's one of those things though. Like when you're comparing it to like the other Prime games, it's a little bit different because it's a handheld game. But I mean, like, do you agree? Like overall, it's a good game.
That's a good multiplayer. Again, the single player. There's really nothing to the.
There's not much going on with the story, but it did introduce two hunters that we didn't know about before.
I didn't know about any. I didn't know. I thought it was all the other hunters were all new to that game.
They might have been all new. But
only Silex was ever relevant outside of that game, and that was for the longest time just the ending trailer, the very end of 3. Once you last dramatically see, and obviously up until with 4 and stuff like that, he just wasn't. None of them were really relevant.
Silex was the coolest. So if you ask me, I thought the design was really cool. So.
Yeah, and obviously, I guess we'll get more. We'll know more about them when 4 eventually comes out. Hopefully, we'll know more when they do their next when they do their Switch 2 Direct and they give us some of those games. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this was a kind of weird. I don't know if I'd call it weird, but interesting news. Just stuff you don't hear a whole lot about. The Power World devs essentially gave their employees off for the launch of Monster Hunter Wilds, which technically launched last night or this morning, depending on where you are in the time zone. And I know it unlocked, about 10 p.m. for me. I think it was right around midnight for you.
Yeah.
Or like early in the morning if you're on the other side of the globe.
Yeah.
You gotta love those global releases at the same time. It's like, all right, who has it better? Either they get it on the what's it, the 27th, or those that have to wait till the 28th to play it?
Well, I'll tell you what, I just bought it right before the podcast, so
there's nothing wrong with that. And because I think I already mentioned I only played I'd say about an hour and a half, though it's not a full hour and a half of gameplay. There's a lot of other wandering around, just figuring out the combat. Obviously, it's just playing the game. You're like, all right, this was designed with a controller first and foremost.
100%.
And then they adapted it to a keyboard and mouse. Not that it's impossibility. It's just some of the designs, like a scroll wheel, feels more natural to a controller.
It does. It even says on the recommended list, it says Xbox controller, DualSense. And it lists like the controllers that it recommends. But yeah, I tried with the mouse and keyboard.
Even though I'm still going to use a mouse and keyboard essentially. So.
Oh, that's going to be so boring, man. You're not going to know what you're doing.
I'm not going to know what to do with a controller.
I'm not going to be able to take any monsters down with you playing mouse and keyboard.
I've never played a monster. I've never played more than an hour with the Monster Hunter before.
These are console games. These are games.
You're on a PC. I'm playing with a keyboard and mouse. So.
Oh my God, we're not going to get anywhere.
You don't play a game on PC with a controller. It's just sacrilege
all the time.
Yeah, my point exactly.
Right here was playing it right before I was playing it.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with what I said. Sacrilege.
Yeah, whatever. You just wish you were on my level.
Not even close. I didn't know about this until today when I opened up the game though. We got new Pokemon TCG Pocket expansion. What's it? Triumphant Light.
Yeah,
That was out today. I didn't even realize it because I forgot to open my pack last night. And I was like, well, I got 5 free minutes. Let me just open my packs and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, there's a new set dropped, and I'm not even close to being done with the last one. So
I'm not either. I didn't finish.
I
any
need
of the
more
sets.
time between these set releases to farm for some of these cards.
No
These
kidding.
pack
But
set.
then I kind of get bored of pulling because what happens is like I start pulling the same cards over and over and over.
Well,
and I
yeah,
get
because you're
no new
grinding for
cards.
those 1 or 2 EXs and those 1 or 2
Yeah.
Diamond 4 cards or something
Well,
like that.
even
to
like some
fully
of the
finish the set.
basic cards, like I don't ever grab them. Like there's some I'm missing, and I
Now,
just don't
eventually
get
you
them.
get them pretty quickly. To be fair, like the more packs you open, more you get the pack points. You can go through and open whichever ones here there that you're missing. But
Yeah, it's one of those things that like I wish there was a little bit more time, but it's I don't know, So it'd be cool to have a little bit more time. But the Triumphant Light, the funny thing about that is that yesterday Pokemon accidentally leaked on their TikTok that this was coming out, so we knew about it yesterday before it was even out. And I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. But there were like news reports about it and stuff, and then it was coming out the next day, so it was pretty funny.
yeah, right.
Can we stop?
I'm sorry. I can't help myself. No, you started first, and I was like,
I
all right,
was because you were talking, but yeah.
Oh my, this guy. Any reason to pass all blame off? All right, we see how you are.
All right, for whom the bells toll, time marches on.
Oh yeah, you finally noticed that like a half hour later.
He's a big Metallica fan, guys.
I just listened to the one song recently.
I'm 6 feet from the edge, and I'm thinking
it's not even the same band.
I know.
Last time oh my god, you just would not stop saying it last time we played the game.
I keep getting these videos about it too. It just won't get out of my brain.
Because you keep listening to it over and over.
I don't even listen. I don't even like Creed, and that's the thing. I like the memes always come up, and I don't know.
Hold me now, cause I'm.
You know what's funny
you gotta
about
have that enunciation.
Well, you know what's funny about that is that 6 feet isn't far. So like, what are you worried about, bro? You're gonna survive. You're 6 feet from the edge, bro. You might stub a toe or something, but you're gonna be good.
Are you sure?
6 feet, bro.
Yeah.
There's people that are 6 feet tall. Yeah, that ain't that far.
6 feet deep, it's like you're talking about like a grave depth.
No, that's 12.
Not 6 feet.
6. Oh, you're right. It is 6 feet, isn't it?
Yeah,
you're right. All right, sorry.
Bro didn't even get the reference to the song that he's singing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Now I get it. Not that smart.
I got a better question before we move on. Can you take me higher?
Can you take me higher?
Bro doesn't like everybody knows their songs.
Bro, they were on the radio every other song in the 2000s. That's all it was on.
I'm just saying. Oh, I mean, I guess that's right. Oh, what's the other song I was thinking of for a second? That when I worked at Arby's, it played all the time on the radio, and it just irritated me. It's the telephone song. You know what I'm talking about?
The Jepsen song, the Carly Jepsen song.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think it is.
Oh,
so call me maybe.
Yeah.
That song.
Hey, I just met you.
And this is crazy. But here's my number. So call me maybe.
Yeah, that's came out 2012.
God, I would shoot my brain out if
I hate it, but they played so often, you hear it all the time. You're just like, it. The same thing with the Friday song that was just terrible.
Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's
talk about a true one hit wonder.
God, what the hell? That was like the worst song that's ever been made. Oh my god. Oh boy. All right, I guess get back to the news.
Yeah, right. No, but no, Pokemon Concierge Season 2, they say is officially coming to Netflix. I didn't know there was a Season 1 of this.
You never seen this?
I never heard of it before.
Oh, really? It's that like
Yeah.
how do you explain it? It's like a stop motion type show or what? My daughter loved it. Um, it's really like QT and stuff like that. It's really neat. It's not an anime. Um, I don't know how else to explain. It's like a stop motion show. It's actually pretty good. Like we sat down and watched it. It's pretty
You can
fun.
see it with the characters on it. It's got that claymation
Yeah,
style to it.
it's actually pretty fun. It's a pretty fun show. It's good for kids, and
Well, I take it back.
I had fun with
She
it
looks
too.
more like clay. They look like they're cloth, essentially. The Pokemon
Yeah,
do.
yeah, they do. They do look like they're cloth and stuff. It's a cool show. It's a cool little show, and then the fact that it's getting the second season means it did pretty well. It was a Netflix exclusive. You can watch the right now. You can watch the first 4 episodes on YouTube for free. So if you want to check it out, it is on the Pokemon YouTube channel.
I think I might just sail the high seas. You know, it's Netflix. Do I really want to give them money?
It's on YouTube, dog. Wallace and Gromit.
I know.
It is very
I'm just
much like
messing with you.
Wallace and Gromit. Yeah, it is that type of deal. It's a neat little show. It's obviously targeted at kids, but it was a cool watch with my dog.
Isn't Pokemon as a whole targeted towards kids?
Not anymore. It's not with these Pokemon TCG cards. My lord, I went to go buy a pack of that the new set that released, all sold out everywhere.
I don't know why, but
I
you can't
said
get you can't get the previous set still. It's the same problem.
I said I'm done.
Scalping them.
And I went on Marketplace and I sent Lucas because I didn't know how much these like things go for or whatever. And it was a box set. And he sent it to him. He said it's 3 times the cost of MSRP. Not getting it. I was like, oh well, this is why I don't collect them, because who can afford it?
The problem necessarily isn't the scalpers; it's the people paying those scalper prices that encourage that kind of behavior. That's the problem.
Well, good thing everybody I know doesn't pay the scalper prices, because we're all tired of it.
Mainly the people on YouTube that are like opening like dozens or hundreds.
Well, see, like there's the people like what's his name, Leon Hart, where it's like that's what he does for a living. So for him to maybe pick up those at that price, like it makes sense, because
but it also encourages it.
Right off.
It
like it doesn't even matter.
It just I get it, but it also perpetuates the system of scalping and making the hobby. It gets more people into it, but that also has drawbacks when everyone's trying to get these new packs at launch.
But the unfortunate thing is, this isn't just for Pokemon cards, and that's what's unfortunate. This is for everything.
It's with a lot of other
baseball cards. This is for video games.
But Pokemon cards is so much worse because, well, it's only a physical thing.
Well, I mean, look at the GPU price stuff right now.
You can whether it's legal or not, you can torrent video games. You can get ROMs of video games online. You don't have to have the physical.
What I'm saying is,
you have to go the physical route.
What I'm saying is, like, it's not even close to just being Pokemon card. Look at the GPU stuff. When you see a 5090 selling for $7, like sold, not asking price, sold for $7,000 on eBay, that's the problem. Like, people are
but I think the other problem is,
prices.
because you see it with the GPUs, is they're intentionally it's the FOMO. 100% they're not producing
same with Pokemon
good.
FOMO.
They want to keep that demand high, so they're controlling the release. They don't care who buys it; they're getting the money anyways. But it's to keep that hype train, so they're constantly maximizing their money. And so when they do mass produce a lot of them, everyone's going to buy them immediately, thinking there's a scarcity issue. Because, like, to be fair, if you just wanted the cards, you didn't want to open the packs, you can get most of these cards for pennies. Like, most of these cards
most of them aren't worth anything.
Yeah, most of them aren't worth anything. It's a handful of cards that are worth even more than $10.
Right.
But the enjoyment is opening the pack, trying to figure out what you're going to get, though.
Yeah.
At least to me, there's not a whole lot of enjoyment just buying the cards outright, unless I'm trying to like finish a set or collection. At least I want to open, 2-3 dozen packs before I start buying the individual cards. Get some enjoyment out of it at the very least.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, it's kind of ruined every hobby. Like, it's even hard with video games. Like, you look at the retro video game stuff, and it's like, I love retro video games, and I love to collect them, and I want to be able to play these things and have access to them, especially when you're talking about games that aren't brought to modern platforms. And it's like, I'm not paying these prices. Are you kidding me?
The only other good side of that is the fact that technically you can still play these older video games if you don't have the original hardware because you can play them on a ROM. So there is a workaround, though it's not the same as the original hardware, maybe on a CRT or stuff like that. But a lot of these games you can still play pretty close to how they were supposed to play, depending on how good the ROM and the
Yeah.
emulator is and
That's
stuff
why
like
I'm
that.
looking forward to that Mr. FPGA coming, because that'll give me access to a lot of games that like where I'm not going to pay the prices and I can play them exactly the way that the console would play them. So like that's where things like that come in handy. Like the Mr. FPGA has really taken over the retro community because for good reason. It gives you access. You get one small little system that's FPGA, and I can play my Super Nintendo games the exact way if I put a cartridge in a Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
So
or
like
you
that's
start
where I'm
getting
really
the
thankful to be able to yeah, it's going to be a while before it ships. I think end of year, but I'm excited to get it because it gives me access to like you think of things like Neo Geo, right? Like I'm getting a Neo Geo console because I got a flash cart, but for instance, I will never buy any of the games because I'm not paying $700, $800 a cart. Like some of them go in the tens of thousands a cart. Like
yeah,
it's
but I think that's where you're
crazy.
getting the a lot of reproduction, whether it's from cartridges or like an all-in-one. They essentially ROM them into old hardware, and then you just get reproduction hardware. Although it's not always the same quality, you're starting to see that market come about. So there are alternatives, though it's not the same as the original unless you're willing to pay a little bit more money. But they're unlike where some hobbies where it's really if you want the full experience, you only have one option. To where some other hobbies there's other options. They might not necessarily always be legal or the easiest or the best way, but you have other
Yeah.
ways to go about playing them. I guess you technically do with Pokemon cards, but you have to buy them secondhand essentially.
I mean, like I think emulation is very, very important. It's just not necessarily a thing for me. I don't find the same
Well,
enjoyment of hooking
because
up a system and putting in a cart and playing on original hardware in a CRT. But like I said, the Mr. FPGA will take over that for me where I can play it the exact way. For me, my experience is I want to play it the same way that the console will play it. I don't want any of the emulation slow down and things that happen like you think of like Saturn emulation and PS1 emulation where there's like a lot of problems, a lot of bugs. They still haven't worked it all out and things like that. So that's where it's like I want to play with original hardware and I enjoy playing on a CRT, but the Mr. FPGA will solve a lot of those problems where there's games I just refuse to buy. I just won't. I'm not going to spend several $100s on Chrono Trigger as much as I love the game, I'm just not gonna do it,
But because
you
that's the
know?
other problem is like how much of there is a market when it comes to older hardware, and how do you reproduce that to where it's like sustainable and like in a business practice where you don't like lose money, as well
Yeah.
as reproducing these cartridges. Like it's not always like ROM is the easiest and realistically the best way to preserve these older games. But there's not a lot of people probably developing some of these emulators, which means you only have so much effort that can be put in for certain emulators. Certain consoles are going to be more popular with with some of the games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you run into some of these issues where there's not necessarily the money, or even if there is, there's only so much money there for retro stuff. And different era of retro games is going to be more popular and stuff like that. So you run into these issues where if you can get the old hardware, that's great. It's probably easier for you to keep it up. But like, let's be fair, there's a finite amount of like SNES consoles at this point, and that number is only going to continue to decrease either because some of them are just stored properly, people lose interest, don't care, eventually gets tossed, or
Yeah.
slowly the actual hardware starts to break down,
You can
and
fix it up.
eventually
They're very fixable. I've
but you
got
need to,
stuff.
yeah, as long as the hardware still is around, or you can reuse different parts of hardware. Obviously, we don't really use vacuum tubes anymore, so as long as you're not running into something that old, but as long as that hardware is still around. But eventually, as technology continues to advance, this old hardware is eventually going to hit a limit to where there might be a lot around you can pull from other pieces of hardware, whether it's another game or an old computer, something like that. You can pull and scavenge parts. There, you eventually run to that hard wall of some of these old pieces of hardware are going to stop being. Eventually, they're not going to be manufactured anymore,
Yeah.
and you're going to have like a finite amount of time. So, how do you overcome that problem? You have to perfect the emulation process, because I'm not saying like 10, 20 years is not going to be a problem, but if you want retro games to be relevant in like 2100 or something like that in a century, or like 100 years or something like that, you have to look at emulation as the
My
only way
only
it's going to stay
worry
relevant.
about looking that far into the future is having people that still know how to repair these systems because it's a dying
It's
art
gonna go
form. You know
away.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah, but even
I
if
know
you
a
have
ton of
people,
people that repair these, like, and it's not a problem. Like, there are new parts being made for these retro systems all the time. Like,
yeah,
China is always developing. Like, these people will, different capacitors and things that are needed for these systems are being developed all the time. Like, I have no worry that in the next even 60 years that we won't have parts to fix these systems.
but the
And,
parts will only get manufactured as long as there's a market and a profitable market at that. Because
yeah,
eventually the natural market is gonna maybe not completely. They're gonna move on to something new as technology continues to advance, even with some of these chips. And
yeah,
while some stuff might be around, eventually technology is going to advance to a point where this old hardware stops being manufactured unless you go out of your way to manufacture it yourself. So
yeah,
the idea is maybe it lasts forever, but like, is there a way to emulate with newer hardware, or we just really need to focus on perfecting the emulation process so you don't run into this problem where it can work
sure.
essentially the same way it does? Because the same with CRTs, they're going to be relevant for a while, but eventually you're just going to have a dwindling supply of
Well, like
CRTs.
right now, let me bring up an example right now. Like, I need to have my very, very, very expensive PVM serviced. Like, it's still working, it's fine,
Yeah,
but I need to have it serviced where it's good to go for the next several years. Like, there's some stuff that just needs to be done with it, needs to be recapped and stuff like that with the boards and all that stuff. And I can't find anybody locally that still works on CRT. So I'm on the hunt right now for trying to find somebody that still has the ability to work on CRTs. That way I can have it future proof. Like I said, it's working and it's fine, but like it's a very expensive PVM. We're talking several $1,000s. Like if
yeah,
I were to go on eBay, this is one that sells on eBay for $5,000 all day long. Right. Like I
yeah.
didn't pay that, but that's the going rate for them. So I did want to bring up actually something that we didn't have in the notes because I just shared this the other day. So these are all recent, like just February 10th and February 20th. So 14% of North Americans still playing retro game consoles and own them. And then 24% of Gen Z British people own a classic gaming console and still play them, which I thought was a pretty interesting number because if you think about it, like that's actually a pretty high number for retro video games to still be played by these people on
Yeah.
these surveys. So I thought that was really, really cool because that's
But
good to see that people are still
and it's
interested in these retro consoles.
and it's one thing, obviously, that 24% and stuff like that, but well, what's classified? Like, you gotta think like the OG Xbox, PS2,
They're
GameCube,
talking
those are
everything
considered
64 and
retro.
below for both of these. So everything
Okay,
below
yeah.
under the year 2000 is what it says.
Yeah, but like, let's be fair. Like, if you look at that 14%, a vast majority of that 14% is probably going to be 35, 40 plus people that
Yeah,
grew up with those consoles. Because let's be fair, kids nowadays, they might find a handful of older games that are still good today, but
sure.
a lot of the SNES games and 64 games, a lot of those aren't necessarily the best quality games. Are going to age the best outside of a handful of, like, especially first party titles and stuff like that. And it's the same thing. Like, how long is it's going to be relevant? Like, you might still be able to find CRTs in these old consoles and hardware, maybe 50 years, but if there's a dwindling market and there, even if there's still a decent demand, eventually it's just going to be more expensive to get certain parts or to get stuff repaired because it's just going to be
Sure.
much more niche. So
This
that's
is
why
where I
I'm
think
thinking, like, if you're thinking like 2, 3, 4 generations down the road, you still want a lot of these games to be relevant, even the good with the bad. You have to find a way to properly preserve it, which is really
yeah.
perfecting, or the best you can perfect the emulation process
Well,
while this technology, we still have it, somewhat relevant today.
this is where I find like companies like, for instance, Analog with the Analog 3D that's about to come out, it's supposed to be Q1 of this year, like the Analog Pocket. And then you have like the Mod Retro Chromatic that are all designed to be playing these retro games that are still being developed. And like Analog did a NES, a Sega Genesis. Now they're doing the 64. They obviously did the handheld Game Boy, which also plays other systems with the adapters, like 4 other systems. So like I think that's where these boutique companies are very, very important in the preservation of video games because these things sell out like no other. Like the
Yeah.
Analog Pockets always sell out. The Analog 3D, which I wanted you to get, sold out right away, right? Like I'm sure they'll do another run, but like the fact that these are selling out and that the interest is there, like that that's a positive thing to me. Like I think
I
it's
mean, it's
super important that these companies are doing that because you get an Analog 3D for your 64 games. that analog 3D is probably going to be good for the next 100 years. Like that's brand new hardware.
Hopefully.
It's
We
brand new
really have no
hardware
idea.
developed in 2024, 2025. It should realistically be good for a very long time, much longer than like a stock 64 would be without being recapped and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
but my only concern is like that's the hot thing now. But as retro consoles move along of what's relevant for people that are nostalgic and have disposable income and stuff like that and
Yeah.
want to go back and play it, that market's there, but how long will it actually be there for? Because that's
Yeah, that's a good question.
they're hot now, but in 50 years, is it still going to be relevant? Or are they going to be producing the PlayStation 12 at that point? That's the hot retro console or something like that.
Well, I mean, modern gaming is always going to be at the forefront of everything, right? It's always going
Yeah.
to be close to the 90% of gaming. Like this is giving a pretty, I mean, like you look at 24% of British people playing classic game consoles over modern console. That's a large number, right? Like I would expect much less. Like I would expect like 90-10 or something like that. So, I mean, those are good numbers to see. How long will that last? It's hard to tell. I mean, like, and you have to think every console eventually is becoming retro. Like PS3 360 is about to be retro, and you know, it's just it's an ongoing thing. Like what keeps people's attention, what keeps the interest alive in retro, and I think it comes down to people talking about it, people like us who talk about it. I think it you know, just being out in the mainstream of the video game community and stuff. So I guess we'll just kind of, you know, see what
No.
happens, but it
Yeah,
is
I
it
just
is
want
a
to
good
say
sign to see that people are still interested in it.
Yeah, I at least wanted to say two more things. I think there's two things that are definitely today benefiting retro gaming. One is the current state, or I'd say the failure of AAA games, largely
Oh,
just
for sure.
being subpar, low quality slop, very little effort, but somehow they're getting more expensive.
Yeah.
And then I think the overabundance of either online games or live service games that have a hard lifespan before they'll disappear completely, it's just an oversaturation because those games won't last forever. They're
Yeah.
trying to continue to get more money out of you when you just want to play an older game that doesn't have any of that stuff. It's just a fun game. There's no extra cost you need to worry about. The problem is, like, with a lot of these new games, even games that are single player today, they don't necessarily require a server. Well, there's a
Yeah.
lot of content they're trying to sell you after the fact, where obviously the old cartridges, just because the nature of the market was everything had to be on that cartridge or that disc at launch.
Yep.
And now there's a lot of online download stuff, which just makes the whole preservation that much more tricky, essentially, even if it is like a
Yeah.
digital game. And it's getting pirated a whole lot now. So there's a way to preserve it, but that's only like there's only certain limitations unless you go out of your way now to preserve it, which is probably going to be not necessarily the most legal way, because these game studios don't care to preserve their games for future generations. It's all about immediate profit. Then we don't care about it. Move on to the hot next thing.
Yeah, they don't care about preservation, which is unfortunate because when you connect your game to having to be online, like even for single player, you automatically disregard a preservation. Just do not care. Because if you have to be connected, there is no preserving the game. Once it's shut down, it's shut down, you know? So, like, I even
Yeah, like
think I
what's it
could be
like
wrong.
Destiny or Overwatch? Like
I
those
think
those games have
even
a hard lifespan.
I'm pretty sure I could be wrong on this, but I think, and I really enjoyed the game, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, for instance. I think you had to be connected online to play the single player. And so games like that,
Which
where
is
it's
ridiculous.
It's absolutely ridiculous. It makes no sense. There's no multiplayer mode, so it doesn't make any sense. But this is what they're doing, and like to preserve these games just becomes an impossibility, and they just don't care. Like I
I don't know
got
if it's
really
an
excited when.
impossibility. It's just it adds a huge hurdle to overcome when
So how?
you're dealing with these
Then
games.
let me ask you: how would you go about preserving a game that you have to be connected online to? What's the process? Because
Well,
to me, it's like,
I don't know the exact process, but these games get torrented all the time. So it is possible. It's not the same quality of game, but the fact that any major AAA game is getting torrented very quickly means there is a way. I'm not in that realm. I don't know the actual the ins and outs, the X's and O's of actual torrenting. It's obviously possible, but there's an over hurdle if you want the game to play the same way it does on actual modern hardware compared to I can torrent it, but there's an obvious downgrade in some qualities here and there and stuff like that. Or there's certain things you just can't do because it's not connected to an online server or something like that.
Yeah, it makes me wonder that what the possibility is to do with a game that you have to be connected online to. But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll kind of see what happens. Like, I'm very passionate about game preservation. I think it's important, and it's unfortunate to kind of see where the direction of games has gone with the online connectivity, especially for single player games. Just think it's ridiculous, but so guess we'll move on.
We had some really good news drop, actually. Kathleen Kennedy is leaving Lucasfilm.
Thank the Lord Jesus Christ. Thank you. Hallelujah.
100% she's not being forced out. This is probably her own decision, but now the question is who's going to replace her?
Star Wars has become a laughing stock, if you ask me.
Nah, man, the Force is female, didn't you know?
I mean, what an unfortunate set of circumstances. Man, I loved Star Wars as a kid. It was one of those properties that was like a god tier property that could do no wrong. It just seemed like a property that would last forever and ever and ever. And like it is to an extent, but it's like it's done so much that is just not the right moves. And it's just really unfortunate. Like I hate to see the way the direction of Star Wars has gone, but
yeah. Now I will say this is reported by the end of 2025. There's not been a hard official statement, so we don't know. Obviously she could back up on this, but they're saying that this is just rumored right now. So I guess we'll ultimately have to wait and see. But like, assuming this is true.
So Mr. Coffee says. Actually came out a couple hours ago that she is here to stay. She even made a speech about it just last night. So,
that was quick. I didn't even see that.
I saw something about Kathleen Kennedy too. I thought I put it in the notes.
Then again, to be fair, and I'm not saying what you're saying is not wrong, but we've heard this before. We're not gonna do layoffs. Everything's good. Week later, 500 people laid off from the studio.
Yeah, happens all the time.
It's always a possibility because you want to
happens
keep
all the
investors
time.
happy.
Yeah,
and then you backtrack it a few months later or something like that. But
I mean, it's fair to say, like, you agree, right? Like, she has just dropped the ball on Star Wars and just ruined the property.
I think she needs to go.
Yeah, I think so too. I would love to care about Star Wars again, but
when's the last good movie Disney actually made, though? Like, let's be fair.
Oh my God, I don't know. Cinderella in 1963.
Oh, I guess we don't go back to it. They own a lot of properties, like the Deadpool Wolverine movie was good.
That was a good movie.
Like whether it's Marvel or whether it's Lucasfilm or Disney as a whole.
I hear.
I think Hollywood as a whole is putting out a bunch of crap movies recently.
I hear.
As a person,
I don't know if you watched it or not. I will watch it when it comes out on streaming or whatever. But I hear that new Captain America is just very mid.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you. Let's let you know, Mr. Coffee, because I saw that like a day or two ago when it dropped, but I haven't seen anything since. Obviously, because it's not. Well,
Mark's just not on
everything on social media is narrative driven, obviously, with an opinion. So if news gets backstepped, hardly anybody's going to talk about it.
For sure.
I was trying to pull something up to see if they had dropped anything since.
Yeah. The only reason she is still around is she knows where the bodies are hidden.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Mr. Coffee, you are officially sued.
I was trying to. Yeah, because it's dropped on the 25th. It was like, 3 days ago when all this news dropped earlier this week. I was trying to find something, but everything I see is from the 25th. So I couldn't help it. Not the Beast said the woman who destroyed the biggest franchise in history is retiring. Maybe. See how the fans are sending her off. I love some of these satirical sites. At least I can't find anything immediately. At least let me see. I was trying to find actual news that said she's not.
Less Than Knows says, I love Miss Kathy. She made Star Wars great.
Something that this dropped about 12 hours ago. It was on IGN. She said, the truth is, I want to just say loud and clear, I'm not retiring. I'll never retire from movies. She continued, I will die making movies. That is the first thing that's important to say. I'm not retiring. She confirmed that Lucasfilm has every intention of making an announcement months or year down the road on eventual succession. She is continuing to stay at Lucasfilms for the time being. So it could have been initial, they're swapping her, moving her around and have somebody else take over. I would like her just to be forced out and go away, but that's assuming the execs at Disney would replace her with somebody that's just not the same or worse, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's see. The last thing I liked was Rogue One. I liked Rogue One a lot. I liked season 1 of Mandalorian. I liked, what was it called? The first batch? What was it called? The Bad Batch?
I think it's the Bad Batch.
Yeah, I like that. But like,
because it's about the only thing I saved.
Things that I liked, but like most of it has just been absolute garbage. Like if you ask me about the new trilogy, I think the entire thing is garbage. And I've rewatched those films multiple times. I just don't think there's no redeeming qualities.
No, and the fact that they're keeping, we know we're getting more stuff involving Rey. They're just doubling down. So I'm like, oh, this is. You want to lose?
This might be a hot take, but I don't think Rey is an interesting character.
She's not because.
I don't know if that's a hot take
writing
or not,
for those movies is bad. The first one is just
like,
nostalgia bait and redoing
good,
4.
Even if it was good writing, I just don't find her to be an impelling character. Like
because it's called bad writing, Brandon. If you have a character nobody cares about,
what
it's
I'm
bad
saying
writing.
is if the writing was good, I just don't find her to being an appealing character. Like I just don't think that she fits well with Star Wars. Like I get the concept of what they're trying to do with her. I get that.
It's just poor execution.
Poor execution,
poor planning,
but
really.
I just don't care for her much.
Palpatine's back. We're not going to explain why. He's just back. Like
it's just stupid. Like that whole trilogy is dumb, and like it makes the prequel trilogy look amazing. You know,
actually, I think the sequel's done one thing: has made the prequel look like a masterpiece.
It makes it look so much better. Like even episode 1.
Like what you can we rag on the Clone Wars with the whole sand scene and stuff like that. But let's be fair, even if you necessarily still don't like the prequel movies, I think Revenge of the Sith, or is it Revenge of the Sith, the third movie, episode 3?
Third movie, I
think has the best.
It's the best of the three.
Best scene
for sure.
in the entire series, and that's when Anakin and Obi-Wan fight on whatever the lava planet.
The lava stuff, yeah.
I don't remember the
really good scene.
Like I think that's probably
really
one of
good.
the
I remember
best
seeing that in theaters,
or if not the best scene of the whole series. And it obviously created probably a meme that's still relevant with the high ground. That like there's just there's so many great memes that those movies produced. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that episode 3 is really, really good. I really, really like that movie a lot. But the other two I could do without. But it does make those movies look better, if you ask me. So
yeah, and then
my opinion.
Obviously, you said it's not A New Hope. It's I can't remember. I mean, you just said I'm blanking on the movie, but the series Andor that ties into Rogue One. I like Rogue One, and then Andor, the series that tied into it. I watched. I enjoyed those, but most of it, The Mandalorian, even season 1 was okay. I think it got popular because it did something new for the first time, and then obviously I think the subsequent seasons it just got worse. But the more time goes by, the more I look back on The Mandalorian. I don't even really like the first season a whole lot anymore. Personally,
it's okay. I didn't rewatch it or anything like that, but. It's okay.
I think Andor, because it's directly tied into a movie, and I think there's a coherent, and it does something new and unique. But largely, most of the other stuff, I don't care. I haven't really watched anything that's come out recently because I don't even have. I don't know what's going on now.
Oh, it's just pulling up the next article.
So much white.
Yeah, widescreen. You know, that's how it goes. Maybe I should let you pull it up.
I mean, it doesn't matter. No, you're good. Oh yeah, I wasn't even prepared to pull it up.
This
Yeah,
doesn't
thanks, Ad Squad.
unfortunately show the teaser image that we were given. This article doesn't. Wonder if I can add it in. Let's see.
You said the teaser. I thought you had it in there. I was gonna pull it up, but
Yeah, there's a
I didn't see it
teaser
at all.
image. So this is a teaser image that we got
Okay,
for.
yeah.
We didn't know what was going to happen, but we just knew something was coming on the 4th, which is still happening. But the apparent, how do I explain it? The rumors is that we're getting a Tony Hawk 3+4 remaster, like we got the Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remaster. And Tony Hawk's been making like his rounds on X and stuff, taking pictures at like the Activision building and stuff like that. So that's been kind of cool to see. I like 3 and 4 as well. My hope is that this brings more to the future where we end up seeing like Tony Hawk's Underground and some of the other cult classic games from the series and stuff. Like 3 and 4 is great. The Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remaster were really, really, really awesome. Like really good remaster. Like that's a real remaster. So it'll be really, really cool. But there's a countdown there on the homepage, kind of count down to something on the 4th. So by the time we have the next episode, we'll know officially what it is. But that's kind of all I had to say about that. I mean, it's definitely interesting. I will share real quick the and sorry for our audio listeners.
Do kids these days even know who Tony Hawk even is anymore?
Yeah, of course.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you're lying. I know he was like super, super big back in the day, but now it just feels like people just don't even know who he is anymore.
Don't talk bad about my mans.
I'm not talking bad. I'm just saying I feel like the younger generation didn't grow up with him being like super relevant. Don't even know who he is anymore.
Well, I think the remaster brought a lot of popularity back to the Tony Hawk name because it sold very, very, very well. Like the 1 and 2 remaster was a huge hit. So he had a Instagram post here that said, "It's always good to hang out with these skater dudes and getting in the crew back together. Super excited for the big news happening on 3-4." And it shows them there all lined up with the 3-4 image there that something is going to be shown. So I'm sorry for taking over that article, but I just thought it would be interesting to show some of that stuff. So,
yeah, I remember Tony. I don't think I ever really got into the games a whole lot back in the. I remember playing like more like the MTV AX games. What do they call them?
ATV.
Yeah, the ATV. I don't know. The MX versus ATV is what I was thinking of. Like I remember playing those types of games, but that's more just you're just riding an ATV around a map, big open map, and you're just doing tricks and stuff like that. And I didn't really know what I was doing as a kid.
Yeah, like, I didn't know all the tricks and stuff, but I thought that they were fun. And the best thing I got out of it was the soundtrack for the games. The soundtracks were absolutely really banger sound. Like maybe potentially the best soundtracks in video games ever. Because like it really got me into like punk music and some like alternative music and stuff like that. And really, really just had some bangers in those games. So yeah, GBA Tony Hawk is really good too. Those are definitely looked over because of the console games, but the GBA games are really, really good too. I really enjoyed those. So yeah, I played probably 3 of the GBA games. They're really fun too.
Nah, I think they're all good. Well, at least the soundtracks. I can't really speak obviously for a whole lot of the actual games.
Yeah.
But we did get some.
You froze there, Mark.
Delayed till time next
year. He's back.
I saw the thing that said poor internet connection come down. I was like, oh, what's going on?
I was like, oh, here we go again. Getting the thing said, Mark loser.
Yeah, appreciate it. But Fable, not shockingly, is getting delayed. A lot of games are now getting delayed all of a sudden because all these games are getting they're starting to bomb all of a sudden. People aren't willing to just eat the slop that they're given from these game studios. So they're kind of having to go back to the drawing board because if you can't afford to just lose tens to hundreds of millions of dollars in some of these games, especially when you're putting a lot of money into it. So I think you're finally, because of people are said, we don't want this and we're stopped buying these games and they're failing spectacularly. You're finally starting to see some changes come at the very least because these executives don't want to lose money. And they're finally saying, all right, fine, we'll capitulate whatever these devs say, where it's like, well, you say this, we lose money. these Chinese studios are doing this. They're making boatloads of money. So clearly what you're doing isn't selling. So we're going to do something else, and we're going to actually make money because that's what we care about. Well, you don't necessarily care about that, but that's what we care about.
Yeah, for sure. I think, I used to get like upset about delays and stuff, but I actually think it's a good thing because I would rather a game get delayed than come out like a buggy mess and have problems and stuff like that. Like we get so many games now that it's like a game gets delayed. All right, big deal. That means they need to work on it a little bit more. I'd rather get a polished game and something that is fun and, doesn't have a bunch of bugs and stuff like that. So like, to me, that's, they need more time. They need more time. The thing that ruined, a lot of games there for a long time was the video game crunch. And like every time that a game gets video game crunch, there's something wrong with the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Plus, you have to kind of think probably a lot of these games were scheduled for Q4?
Yeah.
Or essentially fall to holiday season.
Yeah.
And there's two big things. One, games that aren't polished tend to get a bad reputation, start losing money at launch, as well as, well, GTA 6 is coming out in the fall and holiday season. And a lot of these other major titles don't want to even bother. They don't even want to bother with competing against it. So we'll just push it a quarter to the right. Gives us more time to polish it, whatever that's ultimately going to mean when the game comes out. But I think the bigger issue is GTA 6. They don't want to be within a few months of the game because
which I think is the right move, because I mean that's just going to take over. It's going to take over the video games there for a while. So yeah, I think that's a good move. Like you don't want to launch your game with GTA. You definitely don't. Especially something as big as Fable. Fable finally coming back is a huge deal. It's a big Microsoft property.
As big as any property can be, it will not compete with GTA 6.
No, absolutely not.
Let's be clear, that's the biggest IP in video gaming right now.
I don't know how you feel, but even if like Pokemon, like being such a massive property, dropped the same day as GTA, there would be some struggle there, right?
GTA would win. Even with Fortnite, I still think that GTA would pull a bigger audience. I still think it would win out, if not be. That's the only game that could actively compete against that game.
Yeah, I
or some other big games that have big games, whether it's like CS:GO or like League or something like that. Just because these are hard established games, but outside of some of these just established monoliths in the industry, nothing really is going to compete with GTA 6. At least not when the game comes out.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Yeah, everything kind of needs to steer clear of GTA 6.
It just makes sense. Like this game's going to be relevant, and you have to just understand as much as you like your game to be this game, it's not, and you just can't compete with it. Not
I agree. Yeah, for sure.
Not a short term, but GTA spent 2 decades or like 3 decades building up this reputation. It's not like this was like an overnight success. They spent years building up this reputation with game after game and stuff like that. So they've definitely earned the reputation. Even if they took advantage of like the 90s, early 2000s of people being aghast, and that was their initial rise to popularity, was with a lot of shock stuff. Yeah. But they on top of that, they've been good games. They're developing. They're getting better and better. Good writing, good gameplay. So I'd say, some of the other games they maybe not have earned it as much. Maybe Fable would have if they'd continued making games that didn't take a decade-long break between 4 and this one. But then again, I think the other benefit that the more I think about GTA 6 is they kind of kept their games themselves. So you have like GTA 3, you have all these GTA games, regardless of which one it is, but there's not a continuing story. Each game's its own story, which sometimes you feel like when you get a lot of these games, like, they come out in subsequent order, well, there's a continuing story, and that's good if they're condensed to only a few games. But like if you continue a story after a while, you kind of have to get creative with how you tie it into the greater universe.
Yes.
Or you just do what GTA does and you just move it to a new city and they're not really connected at all, maybe outside of some Easter eggs. It's just its own game. Right. And you don't have to have played anything at all to understand it, because this game is wholesale self-contained.
Yeah. Yeah,
at least that's kind of how I look at it. Maybe I'm wrong in some aspects, but
no, I
like when you think of like
right.
when we have the next Mass Effect 4 or 5, what do you want to call it? It's going to be its own thing, but it's obviously going to be connected to the other 4 games that came before it. 3, because Andromeda doesn't exist to me, but it's obviously, we already know it's connected to that. So it's like, yeah, you can play it, but you'd be better off playing those other games. So it's like, all right, now I got to play all this other stuff just to understand what's going on in this game, or they have to develop the game in such a way that caters to new players and old players, which can also take away from the game, from the overall enjoyment.
Yeah.
If you have to like constantly reference stuff that a lot of people probably already know. So having a new game be full sale its own game, kind of like all the Mario games, it's just its own game. Mario 1, 2, and 3, they're not connected at all. Outside of the name of the game, obviously.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
I feel like I'm trying to repeat myself, so I guess we can move on. But
yeah, no, you're good. Can't come on the podcast. Unfortunately, we can't have anybody on the podcast, but we do appreciate you watching and hanging out with us.
Boo, Brandon.
Nah, that's a mark roll.
This is why they like me more than you. It's okay. Even I just put myself in a better situation to benefit.
Yeah.
Oh, I pulled up the wrong one. I'm an idiot.
For whom the bells toll, time marches on.
Yeah, time marches on. The T800 is still with us, never going away. Apparently, we're getting a new Terminator game. I don't know if the last ones were all that good. I never played a Terminator game.
Yeah, but did you look at this Terminator game, how different it is? It's a completely different game.
Different is what Brandon says.
All right, well, looking a little more into it there, Mark.
Oh, you mean it's built like a SNES game essentially?
Yeah, it's like a 2D game. It's kind of like a Metroidvania-esque game.
Yeah, let me pull it up for y'all. Oh, that's not what I want. This is for whatever Brandon's bell tolls.
Hell's bells.
Oh, hang on.
Maybe he's pulling it up. I don't know what's going on.
I am.
Hey, what's up,
Peggy
Shy Guy
16.
Classic? How goes it, people? Hope all y'all are doing good. We're doing good.
Yeah, but it's into a little intro, but it plays like an old side scroller SNES game, which
Yeah, it looks
I guess
sick.
could benefit, but I think it also puts a hard cap on people that are probably going to actively play this game.
Oh, I'll play
it doesn't mean it'll be a bad game, obviously. I don't know how to feel about this kind of game.
I mean, look at it. Looks sick.
It's
like a Contra. It's like a Contra-esque Metal Slug game.
Yeah, I can see that.
Looks
essentially
sick.
it's just redoing the Terminator 2 story pretty much.
Yeah.
Which isn't always the worst thing, because it's probably better than the game that would have come out
story.
when this game came out.
Yeah, for sure.
Which would have been
It looks
like
a game
bones.
that could have came out then.
Just a little bit more polished.
Some beat 'em up elements there.
Yeah, you're not stuck with the. You can make the. I think that's kind of interesting with
a
some of
bunch
these
of type
older
of games in one, because like you got the beat 'em up elements there that it just showed, but then
Yeah,
you got like
'cause-
the Contra-esque Metal Slug.
And
like
I'll say this, as
combat,
much
like-
as it's in that style, you've got the benefit of these old games with like modern hardware, so it plays just like that. But you have the benefit of having just better hardware that can just do a lot more and make the game look better. In that,
Oh, cool!
in
It's
that,
coming
in
to
that art
every
style.
platform too. That's cool.
Yeah.
September 5th this year, so yeah, that'll be a good one to look forward to. I'd like to stream that. That'd be
No, but I
fun.
guess what's your question on taking this old SNES 16 32-bit era, whatever you want, whatever the proper name is for it, style games, but making it with modern hardware, which means you can do a lot more stuff with it that you necessarily couldn't do with the hardware back on the SNES, like back in the early 90s.
I think it's great. I think it's great. I love these type of games. I mean, these are good games to break up between like the big AAA games that come out. I play a lot of these type of games.
Some it's a little bit more you can play for about 10 hours and get your enjoyment out of it, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, these are really, really good games for those type of games where, like, if you're playing like us, where we tend to play a lot of the AAA games or like bigger games that come out, these are really good games to kind of break up in between like those type of games and play something different. Like, I like that. I think it looks really cool. I like the story of Terminator 2. So to be able to play it in that form, and
I mean, that's where Terminator peaked, was with Terminator 2, and then it's just been a slow downward trend.
For sure. Terminator 2 is the best. I mean, hands down. But yeah, no, I think it's a cool idea. It looks good. Definitely something I would play. So I'm all for it.
Do you think we're closer to, obviously 2003 was a bad guess on AI taking over the world. But I mean, do you think AI could still is getting closer to what Skynet could actually do?
We're getting there, man. It's developing every day. Have you seen the? Actually, I was bringing up this kind of off topic, but Elon Musk was on Joe Rogan today, it's a really good conversation, and he jumps right into Grok talking to him, answering all these crazy questions, and like didn't get anything wrong, nothing wrong. And it's like crazy. I don't know if you download the Grok app, but it's insane. Like
It's not like the old AI
it's
where
beyond
people would.
Chat GBT.
It's not like these old early AIs where they would interact with the public and stuff like that, and they just immediately turn into like some depressed racist, essentially.
Well, like you can make it like a depressed character. Like you can ask it like questions and stuff like that. Like it has like an emotional way that it talks to you, depending on the way that you talk to it, which is just crazy. So I mean,
Oh, that's great.
Overall,
I'm gonna mess it up completely.
Oh. Overall, like, yeah, I mean, we're getting closer to, I don't know about Skynet, but we're getting close to this.
Oh,
stuff is
you know what?
day.
We're getting to real life waifus being a thing.
It's
going
to
download
happen.
it into an anime doll.
You're going to turn those 2D characters into 3D here in a minute.
Oh, Brandon, you're so kawaii. I love you.
Yeah, only you would do that. Oh my god. Mark's got an anime girl pillow, so it's all good, guys.
Actually, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
I used to. And to be fair, I didn't buy it. Somebody bought it for me, but I threw it out years ago.
I would have threw that right in the trash. That's that's an instant condom right there.
I'm sorry that I want to be a wizard when I turn 40. Unfortunately, I don't have my virginity anymore, so that ship's long sailed.
Oh my god, Mark!
If you're a virgin when you hit 40, you get your wizard powers.
Man, I don't know what to do about you. I really don't know what to do about you.
It's not even the new thing. It was like from some old anime looking thing where it's like, nah, not today. Be gone, thought.
You know what? I've been doing this weird thing where I've been checking out some like old 80s anime, like just random stuff that I've never watched before, and it's been pretty interesting, man. Some of the stuff is so weird that I've seen, like just some
what's
like
it?
really
Project
weird.
Aiko's a weird one. I think it's more relevant.
I don't know, but I was specifically trying to watch some like old stuff, just like episodes here and there. Like I just love the animation style and stuff like that. And man, some of them are really weird and bizarre. Like some weird stuff happens. You think like some of the anime now are weird. Like there was some weird stuff then.
Oh.
There's this one anime I was watching where like the penis connects inside the robot and like it's part of how it controls the robot. And this is from like 83.
I could have gone without ever hearing that in my life.
I'm just telling you, you are an anime fan, so. Anyway, what we got next?
Oh, yeah, I lost you there for a second. I think it froze on you.
Always freezing, Mark.
No, guys, I was looking for a specific show, and I don't know if I can find it right away. Because you know you're talking about weird stuff.
Probably don't want to know about it.
No, it's not weird. It's just weird of like the story. There's no story.
It's okay.
It's like 50 minutes of interesting, but I'm gonna have to dig for it later. I don't know where it's at.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know what it is.
It's somewhere on my Amazon Prime account, but
I guess to break up between the news real quick, I'll do show a couple of pickups. Two of these I shared on the socials already. Let me switch over here. Two of them I showed on the socials already. One I haven't, but first we got, this was sent out from Songbird Productions. This is Loops for the Atari Jaguar. Obviously takes inspiration from like the Pink Floyd cover. It's really cool. It's like a puzzly platformer type game. This one I haven't opened yet, but I did share on the socials. It's called Changeling Guardian Estique. It's a mech shooter game, like Gundam-esque. It's really, really, really cool. Definitely gonna be checking that one out here soon. We got an NES, and then the one I didn't share yet was for the Game Boy called Inspector Waffles Early Days. It's like I think, because I haven't played it yet, I don't know for sure, but I think it's like a point and click mystery game. If I could be wrong on that. I need to look a little more into it and throw it in the Analog Pocket here soon. But Broke Studio sent out those last two, so that's pretty cool. I'm gonna be checking those out. Neat stuff for sure. I love to see these new games being made for retro consoles, so I'm all for it.
I mean, yeah, definitely. Is that everything you had, or?
Yeah, just these three I was showing.
No, I'd say it's pretty dope.
Yeah, we need to get Mark to getting more into the retro stuff here soon.
Yeah, we'll see about that. The PSVR 2, shockingly or not shockingly, is getting a price cut down to $399.99, so $400 essentially. So
it's a good price cut.
Off.
It's a good price cut.
I kind of knew this was coming eventually, just considering the fact that they kind of not really cared a whole lot. They stopped producing games like a year ago, and then they were just trying to adapt this over to the PC. So, I mean, I guess, at $400, it's probably much more of a deal if you're looking for a VR set.
I mean, they're losing at that price with the tech. That's
but they lose more if they don't sell them at all. This is trying to clear out.
That's true. What I'm saying is, like, the tech itself it's worth it. Like, there is still a lot of games to play with it. Unfortunately, like, more games aren't being made by PlayStation, but more games are being made by other companies. So,
yeah. I mean, then the other issue is there's arguably better headsets out there that work better with when it comes to
price.
PC. I mean, at that price, maybe not as much. But
MetaQuest 3 is $500. So
to be fair, you're right around the corner of probably the next MetaQuest or some of these other VRs and stuff like that. So, do you buy this now, or do you wait and see what happens?
I mean, I know people that are VR fanatics that buy all of them. They buy the Valve, they buy the MetaQuest, they buy the PlayStation VR 2.
I mean, to be fair, I'm also just not a big VR person and stuff like that. But they also said that the Horizon Call the Mountain bundle is also discounted to the same $400 price. So
that's a good deal. Yeah, that was a $650 bundle. So that's pretty good.
With the
off.
So with the same price with the game on top of it, you could find that one. I mean, why
that's
not?
A good deal.
Game?
Yeah, that's a good deal.
I mean, pack-in titles don't exist anymore when it comes to video games like they used
to. Right.
Just, I don't know, kind of a disappointment. You start thinking like pack-in titles used to be thing, even if it was like a disc. You don't even get that much anymore. You just have to buy a whole
crazy. Yeah. I mean, do you remember the awesome? I don't know that you got this bundle, but I had the game and I'm pretty sure we played it together. There's this really, really cool Zelda pack-in bundle that came with a promotional disc that had Zelda 1, 2, and then Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask all on the disc, plus a demo for Wind Waker. So you had 4 games and a demo. Like, they don't do that anymore.
I mean, it's not as bad because, a lot of these new consoles are backwards compatible, so you already have games you can play on it. But I don't know, it's just a weird era of games history that kind of has just kind of died out back.
Yeah.
What's it, the Gen 6 around the 360 era and stuff like that. It was really like the last era of pack-in titles even being a thing.
Shy Guy Classic asks, what genres of games do you guys like the most?
Action adventure, I guess. It's kind of weird.
I got like kind of two.
It's like action adventure RPG because I do like the whole Mass Effect style of game where it's mostly
like an action RPG.
Still a good, I guess would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I like action RPGs. I think mine would go. It's hard to pinpoint one because I like to switch games, but like action RPGs, I like open world games, and I like JRPGs, like standard JRPGs. Turn-based everything. I love a standard JRPG. But yeah, I mean, I also like my open world games. Like, it's a good, all these games break up in between because open world games can get tedious. So I switch over to another game that's much more linear and that you're grinding. And then an action RPG is way different from a JRPG, and the fact that you're actively fighting, usually in an active battle system rather than like turn-based and stuff like that. So it's I can't say I particularly like one over the other, but I do find myself playing a lot more open world games these days. But it just depends. It depends on my mood. So,
yeah. I guess we got one small little thing. It's not really game related, but I saw this and I was funny. And I was like, why don't we get advertising like this at all? So this is by McDonald's of Japan. I know it's not the best thing. Because this is their new, I guess this is Shaka. It's like their new fries, something like that they're selling. But I was like, why don't we get neat little things? They've been on a roll. It's not just this. It's like a whole bunch of other things. Because I don't know how well you can. with the sound. Hopefully it's not too. It's like, why can't we get memes like that, like McDonald's Japan does? I mean, I get it's memeing off of the music if you know what it is and stuff like that.
Is this supposed to be Miku?
Yeah, it's like a crossover, but it's
my
advertising
God.
the product, which is the bag and stuff like that. Where
But
she
if you look
dumped
at
little
the
thing in.
Japanese McDonald's account, they're always sharing like anime-esque.
Oh, there's
stuff.
so much stuff like this, but it's unique and it's different, and they're trying to be creative for their new whatever it is that fries thing is.
But this wouldn't target the rednecks that buy Big Macs here in the U.S. So
What? Because I don't have the latest WNBA star. That's gonna sell McDonald's products. Okay.
I don't know, bro. Like these rappers get their own meals and stuff like that, and
Does it actually sell, or did the same people?
I
That go to McDonald's
bought
just continue to go to
every
McDonald's?
meal collab that's came out just to
Nah,
try
if
it.
they collab with more like anime or VTubers, they'd be far more popular. Just look at what what Hololive did when it came to the Dodgers and how that blew up massively. It was like a huge thing. I'm just saying, you need to tap into the power of weebs, and you'll make a lot more money. Realistically, what they just need to bring their prices need to go back to what they used to be, and they need to bring back the dollar menu. That'd bring back a lot of
sweet
business,
tea used to be $1 for a large sweet tea. What happened?
that gallon of sugar they dump in that thing.
Dude,
is
I
more
worked
expensive.
there. They literally did dump
Just-
a gallon of
it's
sugar.
Too much
Listen,
sugar in it.
let me tell you a story real quick. Story time. I worked at McDonald's all through high school, and I drank the sweet tea every single day that I worked. I
It's not
got
healthy.
kidney stones at the age of 17 from drinking the
Yeah, no wonder.
McDonald's
You're just
tea every.
eating sugar.
I
every
didn't
day.
know. Like sugar wasn't like a thing back then in
Yeah,
high school.
a
People weren't
large sweet
talking
tea's
about
got like a cup of sugar in it.
yeah, but nobody talked about that. Nobody talked about how bad sugar was for you then. Like we're talking like 2010, right? Nobody said drinking all the sweet tea is going to give you kidney stones as a teenager. I drink it every single day, man. Every day. Oh man, yeah, it is crazy.
That's a lot of sugar.
That is a lot. It's a lot. I used to dump it in there. It's a whole bag of sugar.
You knew what you were eating. You knew it was bad for you.
I knew.
Stone.
I knew, but I don't know. Yeah, I still did it.
Like yes, all the sugar.
God, I wish I wouldn't have done that. Yeah, I'm like all anti-sugar now. Like I don't. Any
Throws on
pop
the
I drink
floor
is
with
zero
kidney stone
sugar.
crying
Like
'cause he's in mass amounts of pain, just can't move. I've seen what kidney stone does to a man. It'll
it's
bring
bad, dude. It's bad. It's really bad.
Should have got you catheters. Probably what they should have done.
Oh my god. I've had a couple catheters in my lifetime. It's never fun.
I guess we can move on to something.
The things we talk about in this podcast.
Yeah, we got there from just talking about McDonald's.
Oh man.
But I mean, I guess we can go into the Pokemon present that we had earlier this week.
Yeah,
it's like the big thing that dropped this week, and outside, at least for me personally, outside of the ZA stuff, it was kind of a lackluster.
Let's just go through the whole list.
Kind of, it's what we expected, but yeah, we can go through everything.
Yeah.
What do you want? What I guess. What do you just want to go down the list, hit everything?
Yeah, just hit everything. Yeah.
So I guess the first and foremost, we had the Pokemon Champions, which
can we show that on screen? The video for that?
Yes, I bring it up
because this is a highly talked about game right now. Because I've seen a bunch of videos that are just naming it the new Pokemon Stadium, which essentially is.
Yeah. The one thing that I didn't like and that you're seeing now is how they
look how they show the classic games, but like
you don't think you're gonna get a Pokemon Stadium when they're showing older games. You're like, oh, are we gonna actually get to play these older games?
That's what I thought when I first saw this. I was like, oh my god, we're getting them.
I'm like, oh, they teased it there, sure, obviously, but they're showing like older Pokemon games throughout the years as we kind of move along. So you're thinking maybe it's doing something with that, and you're not thinking Pokemon Stadium on your phone. That's essentially all it really is. Like I thought this was an extremely misleading trailer for like the first.
It is very misleading
because it essentially goes through every generation of Pokemon more or less. Not every single game, obviously, but
yeah.
And then bam, cell phone. You're like, okay, this is not what game's on the phone. Well, this one obviously.
It's also
Like, I
on
don't
the
know.
Switch, so
So it feels like it's probably like just a PvP stadium game where you transfer Pokemon from your Pokemon home is what they were kind of advertising it like. And obviously you can play it on the Switch as well, but this just felt like not what the advertisement was leading towards, and not, at least for me personally, what I cared to see. As much as this was a fun game, I just want to play the older games on my Switch. I didn't care for a new game like this. But I've always preferred the PvE experience, not the PvP battling with other people. Is not where I found enjoyment in the game. It's the actual collecting all the Pokemon is what I
yeah.
preferred out of the series.
What I wonder is if this game will offer incentive for you to play it to be able to bring Pokemon over to your
I'm sure they will. They'll because with it being connected with
Pokemon
Pokemon Home.
champions.
Yeah, and I'm sure they'll be. I don't know if they want to make
Because
this.
that'll give an incentive for both of us to want to be able to get Pokemon that are exclusive to that game over to our base Pokemon games, which would be pretty cool. I don't know what to think of it because we really realistically didn't get to see much gameplay, but obviously it's very Pokemon Stadium inspired, Pokemon Battle Revolution inspired. It's a 3D battling game.
Yeah, I'd say so. It's pretty much
Yeah,
exactly what you're getting, which is it just a. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some PvE stuff. It just felt like a PvP where you bring your Pokemon over, all your Pokemon, and it's an easier way to do a lot of battling instead of some of the other ways they do some of their tournament stuff.
the big the big positive about this is that it is being developed by Game Freak, so that's a good thing.
They didn't outsource it like they did with some of their remakes,
No, this is in-house Game Freak,
which
which
has
is
always been a bad decision to outsource any kind of game.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know.
So I'll be interested to see what comes of it. I'm definitely interested because I love those other games. It's just the fact that like the novelty of bringing your Pokemon into 3D is kind of worn off, years and years and years ago. But if this
Like
brings in like
decades straight.
special things that you can only get in Pokemon Champions to bring over to Pokemon Home and your other games, like it's going to give an incentive for people to want to play. And then, from my understanding of what this says, the Nintendo Switch players can cross play with the mobile players too, which will
I mean, yeah, that
bring
would
a
make sense.
bigger install base, which is cool. I mean, like, my hope is that this was developed first for Switch, and then it's like also being brought over to mobile. That's my hope, that
So
it's
it's
a
not riddled
Switch
with
focused game.
microtransactions.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. We don't know enough about it. It just says now in development, so I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah, hopefully it's something a little bit more. I don't want to say benign.
We need some juice to it. You know what I mean? It needs to have a
Yeah.
little flavor to it.
But the other one, obviously the big one we were expecting, which is an actual in-depth look at Pokemon Legends ZA, which is kind of what we knew. It takes place in Gen 6.
Lumino City. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah, exclusively in the city. That's everything that we saw. So it's not necessarily the greater world, but it definitely looks like it because they showed near the very end where it's obviously tied into the story of Gen 6.
Did you see that Flo Vet's been alive for 3,000 years? That's the
It was
story of Flo.
relevant in the original game. They made that clear.
Yeah, I guess I just didn't pay attention. I didn't know, but
Maybe it was more hinted at. But this feels
maybe,
less
yeah.
with the first one. You're not going like super back in time, but I'm curious whether they're going to do with the story because obviously this was a generation where you had Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire, so
Yeah.
like alternate realities, which was a neat way for those remakes. But kind of curious because you obviously I can't remember his name, but the character in the middle is relevant to the art, the main story of it. And obviously you got the Flotilla there.
Yeah, and you could pick your character too. They have different names and stuff like that, which is kind of cool.
Character A, character B.
There's Floette.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like it definitely you can tell that it looks not significantly better than Pokemon Legends Arceus, but it definitely looks better.
It looks significantly better than Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah, it does. That's true. I still just can't get over the fact on how they chose the starter Pokemon. Really weird. Pick two from the same gen, but then one
Gen
from 2 gens
Why
later.
Gen 2 Pokemon?
Well, I mean, I love Gen 2. Like, Totodile is one of my favorite Pokemon ever, but like,
Gen 6
why
game?
did they need to pick Chikorita too? Why couldn't they have picked like, I don't know, any of the other pick a different starter from different generations?
Like have all three of them from different gens? Maybe maybe a starter from this generation?
Yeah, right. Like, I can't quite understand. Then they picked one of my least favorite starters ever.
Is that Pepig from this generation, or am I getting that wrong?
I think he is, yeah. He is.
Because
He's a new one, right? From Scarlet and Violet.
or it's Tepig. I couldn't think of his name. He's from what gen is he from?
He's from Scarlet and Violet. Pretty sure.
He's from 5.
Unless it's Sun and Moon.
No, he's from Black and White. He's a Gen 5.
Black and White. Oh,
yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I remember.
So it's not even a starter for this generation.
But we got new Mega Evolutions. It's cool. We saw Kangaskhan there with the new Mega Evolution. I always liked the Mega Evolutions.
Gen 6 that Mega Evolutions come back. I think they were rolling into generation games.
Yeah, I always liked the Mega Evolutions a lot. It was like taking inspiration from Digimon. You can turn back.
Actually giving us actual gameplay footage outside of some stuff. Hopefully with the smaller draw distance of the world, you'll have less of that 2 frame rate stuff in the background.
Yeah, that cut in and cut out stuff.
Yeah, obviously they're making Zygarde a bigger.
I will say this.
It's supposed to be relevant, obviously.
My biggest worry about this game is one of the best things about Pokemon Legends Arceus is that it was such an open space. You weren't confined to a city. Like, it was such an open world, right? Like, and this isn't. You're stuck in a city. So it's like
well, they're obviously going to make the city a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, obviously they have to, or it's going to be not an interesting game.
I guess the one thing you do know is this is probably going to be cross-platform because they say late 2020.
Gotta be.
Almost certainly not going to be a launch title for the Switch 2, but it's obviously going to be on the Switch 2 is what this looks like.
Yeah.
Assuming, we'll know for sure when the Switch 2 comes out, but it's starting to look, based off what we've been guessing, might not be a launch title, but it's going to come out after the Switch does.
What I find interesting, well, it's possible that it's a cross-platform. What I find interesting is where you have it saved right there, it only says Nintendo Switch. We got the confirmation with the video and everything for Switch 2. There's no mention of Switch 2. And I think they're going to wait Pokemon games are notorious for coming out after the new console is out.
Yes, which is kind of what this looks like. To be fair, they might be waiting until the actual Switch 2 comes out to get
this
a new
could be
logo
a Switch-only game. It could be,
which means it would be on the Switch 2 anyways, because it's backwards compatible.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, it's not. We're not getting like a native Switch 2 game.
I feel like this is gonna get it's native for the Switch, and it's gonna get a Switch 2 cartridge. But whether it's properly developed for the Switch 2, who knows?
We'll see. I mean, we always get.
I feel like this has to be a cross-platform game.
I don't know. I'm not convinced that it is necessarily, but it could be. Like, I'm not against it. It's the same with like Metroid Prime 4. Like, is that we haven't heard anything else about that? Is that cross-platform? I can see that being cross-platform more than I can see Pokemon Legends ZA being cross-platform.
Well, Pokemon's a bigger IP as well, so it's almost certainly has to be cross-platform just because not everyone's going to be able to immediately get the Switch 2 at launch. It's going to take some time for a lot of people to cross over. So Pokemon, you just feel like Game Freak won't make that hard line. Not with it being that new of a console.
It's definitely possible. It's definitely possible.
Like it's not like games used to be back in the day. Like, you got to think we're now on modern hardware, like mainline console games with Pokemon. So there's less of an incentive to force people to upgrade to play the latest game. They want to maximize profits, so it's going to be cross-platform, which means there is probably going to be some limiting stuff. But is it developed natively for the Switch 2, and then it's just a downgraded version, or is it a upgraded version developed natively for the Switch 1, essentially?
Yeah, absolutely. Siphon said, "Mark, are you finishing the national Dex?" He replied, "Dex."
Eventually, whenever I decide I actually want to finish Scarlet and Violet. Because outside of Scarlet and Violet, the only gen I don't have complete is, well, there's a handful of Pokemon off of Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, just because I played Sun and Moon, realizing I have to play Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, which is the exact same game with a handful of Pokemon. So I didn't want to immediately do that. And then mainly just Gen 5, just because I finally got my first, White 2 or Black 2? One of the two games.
Yeah, you got White 2.
So it's just a matter of getting those old games because they're not the cheapest things to come around and buy. But eventually I'll complete the national Dex, mainly just because I don't like Scarlet and Violet. I kind of hate those games.
They want to know if you want to be the very best, like no one ever was. All right, what
I have traveled across the land. I've journeyed far and wide.
Each Pokemon to understand power that's inside.
Pokemon. We definitely mentioned this before. The Triumphant Light for TCG Pocket
which is
just came
sick.
out today. They obviously announced it on this, and I didn't realize it dropped till today because well, I was focusing on the big news.
Bro, I know somebody
Because
that
obviously
already
the
pulled that
Arceus was there's a lot of people that have already pulled a lot of these cards. It's just it's RNG.
It's all, I think
lucky
there's only
can you
like
get?
75 cards for this one. So
Yeah, it's that smaller mid deck in the middle.
it's
that
like the
they've
Mew
done.
one where there's just one.
You're gonna have a smaller between your mainline ones and stuff like that.
Which is kind of sick because Arceus is badass.
There's a lot of cool cards. Like I want those Legends Arceus trainer cards.
Yeah, for sure.
We're finally getting.
Did you get anything good in your special booster packs? The free ones that came out today?
I think I got one because
you got 4-star guaranteed in every one.
I only got one new card. I got one.
I didn't get any new cards.
I think it was Blastoise EX and the Pikachu that I've been hunting for forever. At this point, I finally pulled it out of that pack because it was guaranteed.
Oh dang!
The other major cards that I pulled I already had. So
I got like Zapdos, Charizard stuff I already had.
Yeah, I think I got one because there was one 4-star card. It's either 3 or 4-star out of the Charizard deck that I'm missing, and there's 2 EXs out of the Pikachu. So I got one. There's another EX card. I can't remember which one it is out of the Pikachu. And then I got another EX out of the Mewtwo, but I've gotten all the Mewtwo exclusive cards.
I haven't pulled any of the gold cards from the Palkia or Dialga cards yet.
I don't think I have either. But I wasn't going after like
all the other gold cards, but I haven't pulled any.
I wasn't going after the special illustration of the gold. It was just the base set numbered 100 some cards that I was going after for all these. And then if I get those special ones, then I get them.
I did get the special Palkia that shows the art, it shows you the cinematic for Palkia. I didn't get the Dialga though.
I think I got one of those cards. I don't remember which one it is. I did eventually get one of those because those are really cool cards to pull.
Those are really cool. Yeah, I was excited to pull that, but I can't get the Dialga. I've been trying to pull it, but I can't get it. I don't know what you call them. Are they artist cards or what do they call them?
I don't know. They're exclusive to obviously the Pocket game. I don't know what you call them.
They're really, really cool. I want to get the Dialga one, but I haven't pulled it yet. And I never got the gold. Oh yeah, I did get the gold Mew. Never mind. So I've gotten all the gold except from Dialga and Palkia. I haven't gotten any of the gold.
So it's that special one. It's the Dialga EX is the one that I got. Is that the one that you had?
Let me pull it up real quick.
With the because it's
where it shows you like the intro for the.
Yeah, because it's got like a lake and there's like a time lapse of water being there receiving.
I got the Palkia version of that.
So we got the opposite ones.
Yeah, I need to get the. I've been trying to pull that Dialga, but I haven't gotten it yet, man.
I've been at least until this new one. I was just I had the 2 packs a day, so I spent one on the Pikachu genetic Apex. I'm still going after the one because the cards. I've got enough pack points to buy the 2 cards that I'm missing, but I was trying to not. I wanted to spend those on an SR card.
There it is. The Palkia.
Yeah.
So I really need to I gotta pull that Dialga. I got some.
I was just opening one Dialga, one Palkia pack each day.
Did you get that Darkrai yet? Right there.
Which pack is this? Oh no, I don't.
From the new one.
So from not from the Triumphant Light that we just got, but the one that we have.
No, this is from the last one.
Yeah, no, because I've got the 2 Yon Mega EX cards and stuff like that, but I didn't have that one. Like I got the Regigigas and Bidoof and some of the other like SAR ones. But
did you ever pull the Celebi or the Mewtwo here? The that Celebi or that Mewtwo?
No, I haven't pulled either of those 2 yet.
I don't even think you can pull them. You can't pull the Mewtwo now because it was from the first set.
Oh, from the first set? Which set was this?
That was whatever the first set was called that you can't pull from anymore.
Oh, the genetic
Apex, yeah.
What were the cards again?
Let me pull it back up.
Because I've got all the special ones. Like I got
them on my display board. That's why I was just showing you. Let me see right here.
What was the card again?
That Mewtwo.
Oh, that Mewtwo.
That
I've got 3 of those Mewtwo's because I've got 2 in one of the set that I PvP with.
Did you pull the where's it at? Did you pull Celebi?
I don't think I have that.
Because that's like that's one of those art cards where it goes into and shows you.
Yeah, I think because I only have Yeah, no, obviously I'm still missing that one.
Yeah, sorry for our
I'll
audio
put it pulled
listeners. We're
eventually.
showing off some cards there on Pokemon TCG Podcast.
Yeah, because like I'm kind of cheesy. I've got 2 Mewtwo EX cards for my PvP, and then I have 2 of the what is it called now?
I got 2 of the
Dude,
Gold Mews. You know, I haven't used any Shine Dust yet on anything.
I haven't used it either.
I thought about using on the Gold Mews since I have 2 of them. I was like, why not?
I had to
Make
pull
it
up
look
the
cool.
deck that I use because I use a Psychic deck. I've got 2 of the Mewtwo X's and 2 Gardevoirs to get the extra
Oh,
stuff
nice.
because when he uses his 150, it uses 2. I
Gardevoir's
just
the
built a
best.
deck around maximizing that kind of play style, and it usually works out for me if I get a decent draw for my Gardevoir.
Did you see
ones.
the announcement during this event, this Pokemon event for that Gardevoir EX, Mega Gardevoir EX card that's coming out?
Yeah, I
Oh
saw
my
it.
god, that looks so good. I gotta have that because it's Gardevoir. That thing looks so cool. That's really cool. I like the Mega Gardevoir. I think it's sweet. All right, what do we got last? Or we got a couple.
It's not last. There was quite a few things they showed. It wasn't long, but there's a lot of short.
Yeah,
trailer
there's
stuff that we had.
some smaller stuff there.
So we got some more Pokemon Unite. If that's a game that you're into, I've not cared for this game. I haven't played it at all. I assume this is more for some new stuff coming to the game.
Yeah.
I saw this, but I didn't actually like look into it all that much because it's a game I didn't care for.
Yeah,
I watched a lot of this stuff after the fact. I didn't get a chance to watch it live when it was airing.
I just can't get into MOBAs. I did try to play it just because it's Pokemon, but I just can't do MOBAs. It's just not my genre.
Yeah, so it's what
But the
March,
Pokemon they're
April,
adding in is cool. Suicune and the Mega Raichu is pretty cool.
as well as the other creamy looking one. It was just on screen. It's not a Pokemon I ever care for, but
new type first 500. Yeah, I mean it looks cool for people that enjoy those type of games. It's cool that Pokemon.
I mean they're updating the game and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the game's been around for a little while now at this point.
I think it's doing pretty well to still be getting like updates and stuff like this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's just not a whole lot I have to say. It's just a game. Like I'm the same. I don't really care for MOBAs. I've got friends that are super into League, and I'm like
that is a community I will stay far away from.
MOBAs are like some of the most toxic games.
They are. Go ahead and move on. Give me just a second.
Yeah, so this one was the Pokemon Masters EX 5.5 years celebration with Primal Kyogre and Primal Groudon. As I pull this one on screen. And this is another one that I didn't get a chance to, or I didn't bother watching when it was live because it was like the 2 big things, and then anything else was kind of like smaller after the fact. So I don't necessarily know about the about what this is, other than I love the Primal Kyogre because I love the ORAS games essentially. Any chance to have anything with this? I don't know. Maybe I should give Masters a chance, but I never really cared for it all that much personally. It's just another mobile game. But I mean, I like that they're bringing it in because what's it? May, a huge. I love her. I like her as a character, and then when I was a kid playing these games, I always had like for whatever reason I had a crush on her, like as a kid, like a 10-year-old or something like that. Oh, I really like her. And then you read about her in the manga, and then you're like, oh my god, this. I wish we got the story from Gen 3 of the manga in the games because it's just so out there crazy. You know about that?
What?
The Gen 3 manga?
No, I don't think I've seen it.
For Ruby and Sapphire? Oh, because
they're all crazy.
Because I think it's kind of like Maze is her name, where she's like this primal creature. She's like wears like
didn't she wear like the crazy kind of like caveman-esque stuff?
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. I wanted to show this because of Pokemon Day that I got this in the mail yesterday. It's a statue. Pretty cool. It's from the Select series, so it's like the high-end adult collectibles, but I've got 6 of these now, and you can kind of build them together. I keep getting them at GameStop, but guess how much I paid for this? Was $20? It was $20.
I was like, just $200 off.
No, I mean like they're like adult collectibles. They're really nice. I paid $4 for it.
Oh, for anything Pokemon, that's dirt cheap.
Yeah, I've got 4 of these Pokemon Selects now. They're really cool. I just don't have to set them yet, but I want to keep collecting them.
We got some Cresselia Darkrai Pokemon Sleep.
Oh Lord, here
Which
we
I don't even
go.
know what Pokemon Sleep even is.
You lay it there while you sleep and you catch Pokemon. I'm serious.
Completely effortless.
I'm dead serious. That's what you do. You sleep and you catch Pokemon. Cresselia is a cool, underrated legendary, man, if you ask me.
Yeah, I would say because Cressella's from, is that a Gen 6 or a Gen 3 Pokemon?
It's Gen
I know
6.
Cressella's in the ORAS games, but obviously that's tailored to Gen 6.
Mm-hmm. Cresselia is cool.
It really is. I don't necessarily care to use the Pokemon in like battle, but it's a unique
It's a cool
that I
Pokemon
like.
regardless, yeah.
Yeah, this next one, obviously, we already talked about the Pokemon Concierge. That was an actual trailer for the actual show. Why we didn't pull it up earlier, which is obviously coming to Netflix this September.
Yeah, and the first
Actually
4
get a
episodes
better
are
look at the stop motion stuff.
It's actually really, really, really good, believe it or not.
I'm crazy. This is the first time I'm ever hearing about this or even seeing it. Because it's a unique. I mean,
It came out in like 2021, I want to say, or 20.
it's crazy that this works so well with stop motion, just in how like in the short little trailer how it looks.
It's great. I mean, like it's beautifully animated. Like had some real time put into it. It's pretty cool, especially with kids. Like it's one of those like family friendly type Pokemon shows. But like even me, yeah, like I was getting into it. So
Oh, sorry. I thought the trailer was super short. I didn't finish the whole thing. That's my bad. I didn't know until after the fact. I was like, oh, I saw this come up. I was like, oh, it's already the trailer because I knew it wasn't. It was under a minute, but it
Mark
wasn't
doing
like
his silly
long.
willy stuff.
Like usual.
Yeah, I think this is more. I don't know if it's like a behind the scenes or they're just kind of.
I mean, look at how they do that. That's crazy.
Well, because like it's
Like,
stop
it's
motion,
like,
they have to.
It's real, like stop motion,
Which takes forever to do.
crazy.
For every small little move, you have to stop, take a
Mhm.
photo, stop, take a photo.
Yep.
I don't know if they've been able to change it. That's just what I was used to stop
I mean,
motion.
look, yeah, it look like straight up plushes. I love it,
Yeah.
dude. It's so cool. I love when people put work like that and stuff. That's so cool.
Yeah, and then we had one more thing. This is a 30-second trailer for Pokemon Cafe Remix, Apple themed menu. So this is a neat little thing. The Apple Turn, whatever it is.
What is this, My Little Pony?
No, it's a Pokemon Cafe Remix. Whatever this is, I assumed it was a game or something like that.
Yeah, it's like
I know if it was a game or the actual Pokemon Cafe thing that they have over in Japan.
No, it's like it's a puzzle game on the Switch. Cool.
Yeah, but I was obviously had the two big games at the very beginning, and then a bunch of smaller stuff they kind of showed and stuff like that. Because one was it was like 20 minutes long or something like that.
What would you rate the event? Because I was like, not like
I say a 3.5 out of 5. Mainly because of ZA. Everything else I didn't really care for. They didn't give me what I wanted.
I feel like I'm at like a 6 out of 10, maybe. Because
I just want older games.
And then seeing more of ZA was cool, but like we already knew about ZA. I was super let down because we had the rumor of they're making a package deal of Gen 1 through 3, and like I was really, really hyped for this. And I'm like, man, what they started showing the Game Boy and then playing the old games. They're like,
they lead you on that you're actually getting
it's coming.
Are they finally going to give us what we want? And then just a
Do you
snap
realize
of it, like,
that would be the best selling video game collection ever if they did that?
The games and the remakes. There's no reason to not bring them. It's not
that would sell so much money. Like that would be the biggest video game collection in history. Like there's no doubt in my mind.
I want the original games, like the original 1 through 4 gens, because really the only ones that we ever have remakes of.
Yeah.
But I also want the remakes as well, because I think the remakes for the first 4 gens are the better way to play those games.
Yeah, I mean, like Soul Silver.
You've got Fire Red Leaf Green. You've got the
Omega Ruby those games are just phenomenal.
Gen 3 remake is peak because it adds more story, and there's so much content in that game. It's like, well, how do we get what we got for Diamond and Pearl, which needed more content to those games, needed to be based off Platinum, and it's just a bare bones. Like, I still enjoy the game because I like the base games.
I mean, they outsourced it. That was the problem. Like,
But
it
there's
wasn't
no
even a
new
Game
content.
Freak
There's no new
game.
story. It's just more Diamond and Pearl, which is fine, but it's not what I wanted out of a remake.
Yeah,
I wanted more. I wanted
it was a bit of a letdown.
They set the bar so high with the Gen 3 remakes.
Yeah,
and this was just.
I mean, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire were like, I just can't even explain, some of the best remakes ever. Like, they were so
those
good.
are the best remakes I've
and
ever
Soul
seen.
Silver and stuff was amazing. Like, they did they did Gen 2 justice with those games. They were phenomenal. But it's unfortunate, man, because I would love to see, like, sure, we had the Pokemon Let's Go, but come on, I would love to see like a full-on Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire remake for Gen 1 as well.
The Let's Go games aren't really
deserves it.
I wouldn't even consider those the remake. It's not
They're not remakes. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is, like, they gave us those where it was based on Gen 1, but I want to see like a full-on remake like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire for Gen 1 because it deserves it, man. Like, Gen 1 is great. So take all the features that Pokemon Yellow had that improved upon the other games and improve upon that. Like, it would sell. It would sell. But I feel like they're probably in their mind are like, I don't want to tread more water because we had the Let's Go games, which were based in Gen 1, and they were already kind of re-released, but they were different games at the same time.
The problem is these games were all available on the 3DS.
Yeah, I know.
On the digital storefront.
Like Zelda, you could get every game on the Wii U and 3DS for Zelda.
Like, you couldn't get all of them because the remakes, the obviously Gen 1 remakes are stuck on the GBA.
Yeah.
But you had the Gen 2 remakes and the Gen 3 remakes. You had to get the cartridges, but they weren't super expensive because the console was still around.
Yeah.
And there wasn't like an immediate demand, especially with everything going offline and stuff like that with Pokemon Home to transfer and stuff like that. So at the time, it was pretty easy
to have all these games accessible on Switch for like Pokemon Home and being able to transfer Pokemon and stuff like that. Like, it would be so convenient.
They've already dabbled in the in the emulation. They just have to make the DS emulation a thing, and you can bring all these games, the original and the remakes, over once you have the DS and the 3DS, which is a little trickier, but you just need to get rid of the bottom.
A little trickier, but they did it for Castlevania with the DS.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just have to get rid of the bottom screen because the bottom screen just had like maps and other general.
Yeah, it was just like bottom.
So they're not the hardest things. It's a little UI remake, but it's not the hardest thing. All the other games you could just port, like they've already done it with the Game Boy and stuff like that. You can bring those games over now. The emulation exists.
Yeah, it does.
You just have to do a little legwork to obviously make sure it works, and then bringing them over, and then make them compatible with Pokemon Home. But even if it's not.
I wonder if this Nintendo Direct or this Pokemon Presents Direct was such a letdown because Switch 2 is right around the corner, and the fact that we've got another Direct coming up, so maybe they've got something held for Pokemon for that. Like, as far as like the new generation.
If they were going to hold anything, it would have been the Z. That's the only game anybody really cares about right now.
What year did Scarlet and Violet come out? Was it 2022?
Scarlet and Violet. I thought that was 23.
It might have been 23. But like, they're obviously working on the next generation.
Oh, no, you're right. They came out November 18th of 22. So they've been out for a little over 2
years. We're looking at 3 years. We're looking at 3 years. We're about time.
Between game releases, yeah.
We're about due for a new generation. So my guess potentially is that like they weren't going to show anything here because they aren't done showing the Switch 2 stuff, and that is coming maybe later this year or
I don't think we hear
anything
until ZA comes out. Then you're going to hear something. So it's either going to be 26 or 27 when the next mainline Gen Gen 10 comes out or something like that.
So I feel like they're holding some stuff. Like they had to kind of fill it out with something we already knew. They gave us one new thing with Pokemon Champions, which is cool. So I feel like that's probably it. I feel like it's like we're at the end of the Switch life cycle. Like there isn't much they can show us. This is kind of.
It isn't going to be cross compatible for a year or two, but you're starting to transition into the next mainline Pokemon game is going to be a Switch 2. I would assume a Switch 2 exclusive.
I would hope so because with Scarlet and Violet and the limitations,
you need the hardware is what
you need the hardware. If you're going to go the open world route, which I assume is what they're going to stick with, which I like because that's what I always wanted as a kid with Pokemon.
Or
I do like
the open world.
a form of the open world. Like Legends Arceus did it right, where it was like it wasn't a full open world game.
But
You
they
could
knew
go
the
into the
hardware
cities.
limitations. They just didn't care with Scarlet and Violet.
Yeah,
Scarlet Violet should have been sectioned off because it's very obvious the hardware just
it
can't
needed to
handle
be.
that game.
It needed to be. Yeah, but I mean, with Switch 2, it shouldn't be the
100,
case.
but I just want to say 100%. They didn't bother to optimize that game. They just released as is and didn't care to
Because
fix
like
it.
the thing that bothers me so much is you look at like not even Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, how much is going on and how many enemies you can have on screen at once, and like it works fine.
Well,
Like
because they
what?
optimized the game. It can be obviously there's hard limitations with an open world in that game, but they knew what they were doing and they still properly optimized the game. They designed everything to make it a good experience.
Yeah,
Pokemon
they
Game Freak
did.
just
They
didn't
spent a
care
lot of time with it, but it's like, how can you do that to Pokemon? Like you want
because they
way
were going to make
a
money
bigger
either way.
selling property than Zelda. Like it's wild to me that you know
Because at
stuff.
this point, Pokemon prints money doesn't matter the quality. It would take several games worth of bad quality for them to start to see a
It's
significant decrease in
unfortunate.
sales.
It's really unfortunate, man. But all
Because I
right, I
guarantee
guess
you,
we'll.
you're gonna buy the next mainline gen game at launch. Am I wrong?
I'm going to, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what's the point? Why optimize the game if you're gonna buy it anyways?
Well, they better optimize it. That's all I'm saying. Because I'm not. I definitely won't be a happy camper. That's for sure.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's it feels like that's what they're looking at, but yeah, it's hard to tell. Hopefully
I'm
they
just the difference for
fix
me
their
is that I'm
mistake.
just a big Pokemon fan. So like I always try to support, especially with the mainline games. Like I'm always very excited for them. Like it's one of the few series that gets me excited for a new mainline release. Like there's a few things, Zelda, Pokemon, Mario, like these big new mainline games I get excited about. Like there isn't a lot these days as an adult that excites me to that extent where I'm like, I can't wait to play this. I want to play it day one. Like Monster Hunter Wilds is one where like I really want to play that. Like that was a for sure. I'm buying that day one. I want to play it. But there, most games I'm like, I'll wait, see what other people say, work out the bugs, get it at a cheaper price. But there are like those series that I do want to get at launch and stuff. So I think that's
Yeah.
all we got for Pokemon there.
Yeah, and then I guess the last big thing is the fact that Warner Brothers is closing Monolith Studio and stuff like that, and essentially Warner Brothers just feels like they're just getting out of the game. They're just going to outsource their IPs. It's kind of what this looks like. They've just been bombing game after game.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. One of the things that really bothered me with the Monolith Soft closing was the Fear series. I've always been a big proponent of the Fear games. I have all of them, and it's unfortunate that nothing else has been done with those games because they're very good. But some of the things that they developed that were successful was Blood, No One Lives Forever, Fear, Shogo, Mobile Armored Division, and of course the Middle Earth games.
I just wanted to also announce it because wasn't just Monolith. It was also Player First Games and
Yes.
Warner Brother Games San Diego. So it was a total of 3 studios they just decided to shut down.
Which I want to say is not surprising because this is Warner Brother Games that we're talking about.
They've largely lost money year after
But
year.
Monolith Soft is such a big development studio that that's the one that's getting the most attention with the headline.
Yeah, because they said
obviously.
they were working on a Wonder Woman game.
Yeah, they were working
Now
on a
that
Wonder
the
Woman
game's
game.
shuttered.
It's scrapped. So yeah, it's one of the things behind this is that the whole Nemesis system that was patented to the Middle Earth games is now essentially gone.
Not that anybody used it ever since. So, and let's be fair, like if you really
it was
wanted
a
to use
patent.
this technology,
It was
yeah,
a
but
patent.
you could still pay for the patent by just paying Warner Brothers if you really wanted to use it. But nobody ever used it since. So we're mourning the loss of something that nobody used since.
Yeah,
I know we were talking about it before, and I just want to say, like, yeah, it sucks, but like nobody ever used it outside of these 2 games. So like, why are we like bemoaning this thing that nobody wasn't talking about a week ago at all? Like, I get it, but I also kind of irritates me. It's like, are you just rage baiting for people to read your articles? Are we really moaning this? Because nobody, like, it was only in these 2 games. They built it for these games, and then nobody even bothered to license it ever since. And it's just because these studios are shut, Warner Brothers still owns these IPs, still owns all this patents. So you could still get it from Warner Brothers. It's
So-
not an impossibility.
Apparently, the Wonder Woman game was going to have the Nemesis system, which is interesting. But this says
Allegedly.
Monolith and Warner Brothers invested in the Nemesis system so much that the publisher decided to patent the technology in 2016. The patent describes methods for managing NPCs that can remember previous interactions with the player, react accordingly, and subsequent encounters. The patent expires on August 11th, 2036. So no other developers can use the Nemesis system, and WB has nothing in the works either.
I mean, just because they patented it doesn't mean you can't use it. It just means you have to pay money to use it, and they have to say yes, obviously.
Yeah, apparently Warner Brothers Studios took a $200 million loss for the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League project alone. I mean, that really did them in. We kind of knew that had a massive impact on them, and I think that just kind of did them in. So this makes me wonder that the news we reported on last week about the Batman Beyond Arkham game, like whether that's even going to happen. I don't know. It almost sounds like that they're just getting out of games is what it sounds like.
Mr. Cobbie said, did they ever say how far the game was in development? They said they announced the game in 2021, so you assume it had at least a year or two of some development behind it.
Yeah, they had some,
but they obviously weren't that far in development. If they just decided to shutter the studio, wasn't close to coming out. If it was a year from coming out, they probably would have just finished the game at that point.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see Monolith Soft go. I don't know as much about the other studios, but it's like, I mean, WB made stupid decisions. The Suicide Squad thing was dumb from the beginning. From the first trailer I remember seeing in that showcase, I was thinking, like, this does not look good. This should not be attached to the Arkham franchise. It is I just shouldn't have been attached to it. Like, I don't know what they were thinking, but I mean, I think that just pretty much did them in. A $200 million loss is a lot.
Hang on, sorry. From what I'm seeing, it looked like Player First Games worked on multiverses, and then just multiverses all they worked on.
Oh, well, that obviously wasn't a success either.
Yeah, and then the other one, I was trying to pull it up because some of these, it's just taking me to the Warner Brothers website, which gives me all the games and not what these individual studios actually made.
Hey, what's up, Destiny? Thanks for popping in. Night's going well. Just reading some news here.
I'm just trying to pull them up. They don't make it easy.
Yeah.
So from what it looks like for Warner Brothers games, we used to be called Warner Brother Interactive, assuming it's the same one.
Yeah.
They worked on the Batman Arkham series, the Fear series, Injustice, the Lego games, Middle-earth series, the Mortal Kombat, and Scribble Knots. They all had that.
Wait, which studio did that?
Warner Bros. Games, formerly Warner Brothers Interactive Entertainment.
Oh, wow. I wonder what the heck's going to happen with all those Mortal Kombat's definitely not going to go away. If Arkham's involved in that's...
Well, to be fair, this isn't the first time we've seen different studios work on it. Does Warner Brothers own Mortal Kombat outright?
Yeah.
Because the publishers...
Midway.
Yeah, they say the publisher is Midway, Williams, and Warner Brothers.
They purchased it from Midway.
So, yeah, I assume Mortal Kombat's not going away. They're just going to have another studio develop it, essentially, or they're going to outsource it. A lot of these IPs are probably going to get outsourced. Warner Brothers is just going to hold the IP and have other studios.
So there's still a possibility of the Batman Beyond Arkham game coming, because I
would say some of those
highly successful, but
yeah, because you think of like Mortal Kombat is not going away. This is
way.
Going to be developed by a different
It's
studio.
such a big series. There's no way
they're going to have studios bid on it and figure out which one they want to go with on who wants to make it, and then how much they want to pay you to.
Because NetherRealm usually develops the game, and
because those Lego games aren't going away. They're just going to have another different people make them.
Yeah,
those Lego games are too profitable and stuff like that. You would assume,
right? Yeah.
And Warner Brothers Games or Warner Brothers Interactive had a lot of subsidiaries. It was also Avalanche Software, NetherRealm, Portkey, Rocksteady.
Yeah, NetherRealm does Mortal Kombat.
So,
yeah, interesting. I mean, it's a shame. Monolith Soft was located here in the US.
I guess it's sorry. I guess they did say it was there. It was Warner Brothers San Diego. So they probably are. It's just one of the studios closing. The more I look into this, just to clarify it, so they're probably just closing that studio, and they have a bunch of their other subsidiaries are probably going to just take over some of these IPs and games.
That's
the more I dig into it, the more I'm like, okay, it's not they own these series, but they also have more than just these 3 studios.
Right.
Don't wanna obviously pass along bad information, or kind of correct myself. So this feels like they did have one of those studios, but I still feel like they might just have it. It wouldn't be the end. They would still either outsource it or just have another studio make it. Is what I feel like. Because some of these IPs are still profitable. It's just these studios are unprofitable, so we're going to close them down.
Well, I mean, what the heck has Monolith done since the last Middle-earth game? Like, have they even done anything since then? Like, I'm not even aware of anything Monolith's done since Middle-earth, the first or the second Middle-earth game. Like, I don't know. I mean, those were fantastic games. Games that are very replayable now. I have both of them. I played Shadow of Mordor not that long ago, and
so the last game Monolith put out was Shadow of War in 2017.
Yeah, see, I mean, like
that's the last
they're
game
not doing anything.
Those are the last 2 games they worked on was Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War.
Unless they had something in the works that we didn't know about, they weren't
all we know is
anything,
officially was Wonder Woman, which was canceled. They could have worked on other games, but largely this studio hadn't pushed out anything since 2017. Yeah, and they're also the studio that put out some of the Fear, at least what's it, Fear 2?
Yeah, I love Fear. Great games.
Yeah, I was trying to see some of the ones that I've actually played. I don't know if there's a whole lot of these other ones that I've touched. Obviously, they put out Alien vs. Predator 2 in 2001. Tron 2.0 in 2003, which looks like a bomb of a game. So yeah, no, it was Fear. It was Fear 2. They put out the Condemned 1 and 2.
Oh, they did Condemned? Okay.
They put out the Matrix Online in 2005, if you didn't know that was a thing.
Didn't even know that existed.
Like, you feel like most people know this game for Fear and then the Middle-earth games. That's it. I feel like a lot of these games are just highly irrelevant. Maybe if you were into Blood and Blood 2 back in the 90s, but at least I was never, well, I wasn't that big into gaming, but I didn't grow up with some of these other games like Grunts or Claw or Get Medieval or something like that.
Get Medieval. Mr. Coffee said, I wonder if NetherRealm is looking into buying their IP out. Deciphin said, Mark, do you have an Anime Junction shirt yet? I want to buy your merch.
We need to, but we haven't gotten an episode out in like over a month, so but that should change starting next month. So trying to get back to
we gotta get some merch up
publishing that stuff.
We definitely gotta get.
Yeah, just had a lot of.
We've had like 5 people ask now.
Between work and school, I just didn't have free time to get really a whole lot of anything done. So that moving forward, at least in the immediate future before I move, should be able to get back to getting stuff out, and we'll obviously focus.
Everybody needs to tell Mark to get a couple Game Junction shirts because I haven't seen one in ages. I
just have the one that's in my closet right now.
All right. Well, we have anything else, Mark?
No, I think that's everything. Obviously, we had the Monster Hunter Wilds, but we've kind of.
I guess earlier in the game. Let's just talk about that a little bit. We're going to be streaming that if you're watching live tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah.
I was
going to say we would have more to talk about next week, but I'm going to be missing the next 2 podcasts because I'm going to be out of town. I'm be in Japan for vacation.
That's right. What's the Metacritic score right now on Monster Hunter Wilds?
I'm not sure.
I forgot you were leaving next weekend.
I fly out on Wednesday, actually. I've enjoyed the game. The little bit that I played, it seemed pretty fun. The only issue is just learning combos and just actually playing the game itself. But when I played the game, it played just fine for me with my 4070. So
same, yeah.
I didn't have any issues on it. I know it had some low reviews. It's mixed on Steam, but if you actually look into that, it's people with lower end PCs to play the game. So the game's not fully optimized, but if you're on console or if you have a higher end PC or just
I've heard
better hardware, it's not as bad. It's
Digital Foundry did a video like it runs fine on PS5. If you have PS5 Pro, it runs even better. So like
because it's obvious it was designed for the console when you play it.
It's next best option to PC. So if you have a PS5 Pro, that's a very good way to play.
You're better if you've got if you have like a 20 or a 30 series card, essentially, that's not a 3090. You're better off on console for the time being because it's just for lower end cards, especially the graphics cards. It's just not optimized all that well.
It's very optimized for console too. So
So everything
so
that's
it's
seen
a good
that
route
people
to
talk
play.
about it, they enjoy the game, but it's just not built well for the PC side on lower end stuff. So hopefully they'll fix that. But it's very obvious this was developed console first,
for
PC
sure.
second.
Yeah, they've
So
always been
hopefully in the
console and
coming
handheld
in the
games,
coming
so.
months they'll optimize it more. But
But
outside of that, the game plays at least
we're
for
both
the
playing on
tutorial, it played
PC.
fun.
I'm having no problems. think it's great. So
I guess we'll see if we party up and get further into the game outside of just
yeah.
the tutorial to unlock it that I played last night. But
yeah, for sure. For sure.
yeah, have more to talk about once we actually play a significant portion of the game.
Yeah, definitely. Did you grab a Metacritic score on it?
I can't even find the Metacritic score. I just see the Steam page.
See if I can find one real quick.
No, that's why I didn't type in Metacritic like I thought I did. I'm just an idiot. So on the Metacritic, it's in at 90 for the critic score, but there's no
user score,
or even for the PS5.
Well, 90 for a critic who we don't care about is pretty dang good. So it's definitely a good game. I mean, based on what we played and stuff like that, I played beta 2 different days, plus replayed the beginning of the story right before this podcast to get us caught up to the multiplayer. And man, the game's awesome. Like,
yeah, because even on the Metacritic, there's just nothing available for user scores, so which is kind of surprising.
I mean, it just came out today too, so
technically it came out last night, but yeah,
at
least for us,
true. But
yeah, hopefully here pretty soon it'll have something. But I think it'll be it's a fairly fun game from what I've seen, and a lot of people that I've seen review the game, like even just other YouTubers, are fine because I think I was watching like Asmon go talk about it. He's got a higher PC.
He loves it.
Not a problem. It's very obviously the only things that I've seen negative is if you don't have like a 40 series card, you've got a lower end 30 or below series card, the game doesn't run well. That's the only.
I mean, I got a 4090 and mine runs like crap.
Yeah, sure does.
Just kidding. All right. Well, I think that's all we got for this week. Is there any closing thoughts, Mark?
Nah, not really.
No.
Don't forget to drink water, exercise. Don't drown your goldfish. All the good stuff.
Great closing off there. Yeah. Well, if you are watching live, like I said, we'll be live tomorrow playing Monster Hunter Wilds at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For our audio listeners, we are live every Friday with the podcast at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then we normally stream every Saturday at the same time. For this episode, if you are watching live, Mark will be gone for 2 weeks, so I'll be soloing the podcast for a couple weeks there until he comes back because he decided to go to Japan and just leave me in the U.S. Thanks, Mark. And we definitely appreciate everybody watching live and listening on all the audio platforms. If you are on any of the audio platforms, be sure to leave a rating, a follow, a subscribe, depending on where you're at. And if you aren't subscribed on YouTube, that helps out a lot too. And we'll see y'all later.